We hope you're ready to return to the air, to have new adventures, see old friends, reach for the stars. And the flight at the end of the tunnel is knowing that when you're ready, we'll be here to get you there. Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Here's to blue skies ahead. We hope you're ready to return to the air, to have new adventures, see old friends, reach for the stars. And the flight at the end of the tunnel is knowing that when you're ready, we'll be here to get you there. Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Here's to blue skies ahead.
Good morning. We want to take this moment. I want to say thank you to everyone for, well, I apologize. Welcome to the 2020 Baton Rouge Metropolitan Area 15th Annual Business Opportunity Workshop. I want to thank everyone this morning for taking time to attend our workshop today. We know you all have busy schedules, so we definitely value that. A little housekeeping. I would like for you to make sure that you mute any of your microphones or phones. Obviously, we want to make sure that everything is clear so where you can take advantage of this great information that you'll be provided today. Also, each Zoom platform will be available simultaneously to follow along with the agenda. View the topics of your choice on the main stage, the breakout sessions, and the exhibitors. And we will, once we finish having our speakers at the beginning of our agenda, once they speak, I will give a reminder on how you can follow that format. Also, any questions that are not addressed during the breakout session, exhibitor sessions, and our question sessions will be addressed next week. We will have those available on our sites, as well as on the Baton Rouge Airport site, as well as on our DB Supportive Services site. Now, we understand that there are probably going to be questions that's going to be asked, after each presenter on our main agenda. We ask that you just put those questions in the chat area. And then what we'll do is address those questions accordingly at the end during the question and answer. Once again, if any of those things are not addressed, we will make sure it's provided to you in written form. We only want to practice that because we want to make sure that we respect your time and make sure that everything flows accordingly. And as I stated before, this event will be recorded. It will be available via the airport's website as well as our DB Supportive Services website. So once again, just prepare yourself for a great event. My name is Kenyatta Sparks. I represent SJB Group. We're the consultants for the Baton Rouge Airport. We also assist with DB Supportive Services with Department of Transportation with the Federal DB program. What I'm going to do now at this moment is give you an opportunity to hear from the Director of Aviation, Mr. Mike Edwards. He's going to come in and do the opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are staying safe and doing well. My name is Mike Edwards, and I'm the Director of Aviation for the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. I want to take this moment to thank all of you for joining us today for the 15th Annual BTR Business Opportunities Workshop. I wish we were all here at the airport meeting in person as we have in the past. Nevertheless, a lot of things are different this year. only one of which is our reliance on virtual meetings like this one. As the old saying goes, the only constant in life is change, and we've certainly seen our fair share of change in the last 7 months. Before COVID-19, US airports were moving about 1 billion passengers per year, and up until mid-March, BTR was experiencing near record growth. Then in April, we saw a 95% drop in passenger traffic here at the airport and across the industry. We're now seeing about a 52% decrease in airline passenger traffic compared to the same time in 2019. While that's still a major drop, it's also a positive sign that a recovery is slowly occurring. And while it might take a while, overall traffic will bounce back. In the meantime, we've had to adapt our business model in order to fit the new normal. And I know all of you can relate to that. As a broader business community, our current success depends on how well we continue to adapt to the challenges related to COVID-19. In addition, our future success depends on how well we collaborate with each other to address pressing issues like resiliency, economic development, and equity. These are all topics that will be discussed here today. Our staff has worked hard to put together a program that's more relevant than ever, considering the challenges that each of you are facing as small business owners and operators. Let me close by saying that BTR values the partnership we have with each of you, and we value the fact that you took time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. Now, speaking of taking time out of our busy schedule, it's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome, who will be providing today's welcome address. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to start off this morning by welcoming all of you to the Baton Rouge Metro Airport's annual Business Opportunities Workshop. It is my pleasure to be here with all of you this morning via Zoom as we discuss the critical role small businesses play in our community here in Baton Rouge. Here in Baton Rouge, we pride ourselves on our rich and diverse culture, our unique celebrations, our diverse population, our rich history, and of course, our decadent foods. When we think of these core facets of our culture, more often than not, many of us can name a handful of local businesses that contribute to these staples of our culture. These businesses are owned by neighbors, by our families, by our friends, and they are interwoven into the fabric of our community. Our economy, our community, and our culture depend on them, which is why we must take extra steps to ensure the success of our small businesses, especially those owned by minorities, women, and veterans. These businesses represent the foundation of our community, which is why my administration has worked to expand upon the opportunities available to our locally owned businesses. In 2018, I engaged King Independent Research to analyze over 11,000 city parish purchases to determine whether there is a level playing field for minority and women-owned firms and other small businesses in the local marketplace. Keen Independent Research found that over 80% of contract dollars go to companies with Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport area, with more than 90% of businesses available for city parish contracts being small businesses. Of these available businesses, 41% are owned by people of color and or women, and 9% are owned by veterans. Now that we have this data, we are using it to create equitable practices within our city parish government by creating more opportunities for businesses owned by women, people of color, and veterans. We're already showing progress. Roughly 38% of our MOVE BTR contracts have been awarded to these small businesses. Outside of our MOVE EBR project, my administration has introduced policy improvements that make city parish bid opportunities more accessible than ever before. In the last 2.5 years, we have added 454 new minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses to our database. This is a growth rate of over 500%. And since January of 2018, 221 contracts have been awarded to these businesses, with 118 new contracts awarded to businesses owned by African Americans. We have made progress, and we're going to continue to work to instill equitable policies within our city parish government. But we all know our work can't stop here. In collaboration with the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport and BREC, the city parish is working to implement a DBE certification program. This would act as a one-stop shop for businesses looking to obtain contracts from these three entities. If a business were to complete the certification process with the city parish, then their certification would also be valid with the Baton Rouge Airport and with BREC, saving the businesses both time and money. This will make our bidding process more accessible in two major ways. Our small business owners will save resources, and their singular certification will allow them access to even more bid opportunities. We are working to have this program ready to launch as soon as possible. And I look forward to seeing the opportunities that it will offer to the entire parish. Our work to provide economic opportunities to our community is imperative to the success of Baton Rouge. Thank you so much, and have a meaningful and insightful experience today.
Thank you so much, Mayor Broom, for those words. Obviously, those are words of encouragement, I believe, for what's going on in our community right now, as far as by way of inclusive of the minority and women-owned firms, and also veteran and services disabled veteran firms. So just to see that this is the things that's on the coming horizon is great. It actually flows right into what we have planned for our agenda today. So we're excited about having that opening, that welcome address. So our next speaker, I have the privilege of introducing, who is the newly elected chairman of the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport Commission, is Mr. Matt Butler.
First, let me say good morning to all of the attendees and the folks that are actually in person here. Kenyatta, let me send a special shout out to you and say thank you for putting on such a great production, which I think will be insightful and informative to all of the attendees. To Mike Edwards and his staff, I want to say you have done a superfluous job, and I think it showcases your vision and your commitment to make sure that we look at our small businesses in a different way than what we have in the past. And to Mayor Broom, we thank you for your consistent leadership in promoting business opportunities for our small owned, minority, and veteran and women-owned businesses in our community. And Councilwoman Shauna Bank, thank you for your continued support for the ongoing progress that we have made here at the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. So this morning, let me talk about three things. And there's one thing that I saw that, at least in my opinion, was a common theme around today's conference and business roundtable. And so let me just share what I think from a theme standpoint and being a part of the airport for over the last 3 years really mean. And that is having shared things in common. So let me talk about the three shared things that I want to leave with you on today. A shared vision, shared goals, and shared success. A shared vision, shared goals, and shared success. So in a shared vision, it takes a commonality of a group of people with common ideas to come together. And that would include our Metro Council. It would include the administration. It would also include the commission of the airport. And I think once we formulate what that shared vision is, I think it sets the platform by which we would like to achieve what the ultimate outcome needs to be. And that is being more inclusive and to make sure that there's ample opportunity for historical business that did not get an opportunity to participate in the contracting opportunities here at the airport have that opportunity. And so I think that commitment is there. I think that commitment is firm. So on shared goals, like anything that we do in our daily lives, in coming up with goals, you have to have a roadmap to get there. So such a conference and workshop that you see today lays out what that goal is. And I think you'll see a roadmap from the speakers who are going to be presenting today to kind of lay out what you need to do in order to achieve those goals. But with goals come key performance indicators. And that's where we come in as a commission. As we get the reports and as we ask the questions, where are we? Is the vision still aligned with the goals? And how are we predicated to look at the level of success that we intend in what we're trying to get accomplished in making sure that there's equity and inclusion in our business opportunities here at the airport? And finally, shared success. And what does it look like? Well, at the end of the day, when you think that you're there and you think that you have made the round table and you say, we have achieved the ultimate vision and we have achieved the ultimate goal, I think what you have to do is start all over again, because each and every time we get better. And every time we get better, we get closer to the ultimate goal to make sure that we don't have to have workshops like this, that it becomes a daily part and a routine of how we do acceptable business. And when we get there, we don't stop there. We make sure that there's ample opportunity, not only today, but far beyond, as we continue to look at the success and the growth of this airport. So this morning, again, let me say thank you. And I hope that you would have a very productive outcome and hopefully lots of participation, right? So make sure you ask the questions and make sure that you pay attention and take notes. But more importantly, leaving today, for all the people who are in attendance, make sure that you follow up, because it's only up to you in how you see your predicated growth in aligning with the airport and its goals and objectives. And so again, I want to say thank you and congratulations for a successful outcome today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Butler. Shared vision, shared goals, shared success. I think those are three main components of what I've seen that here at the airport and what's going on, obviously, in the city of Baton Rouge, that we hope can be a blueprint that can trickle on to, obviously the state of Louisiana. Part of that, part of these things that I think unify all three of these concepts that Chairman Butler just mentioned. Obviously, I think those is evident, tangible evidence of that is that even just the last three projects that have been awarded here at the airport, we've we set high goals that we believe were very well obtainable, and they were. And the evidence of that, two of them was exceeded. We had one that I believe was around 37%, one that was 21%, and one that was 18%. And we met all of those goals. So that's just the efforts of what, Director Ms. Mike Edwards, and as well as Greg Pearson, the Assistant Director of Aviation, with them and their team has done over the course of this last year and a half to make sure that this comes to pass and this is successful. I just want to make sure that I give them applause for that as well. And obviously allowing, they give the support that their team goes a long way. So with that being said, the next presenter that we're going to have, or the next speaker we're going to have, who represents this district, is going District 2, is going to be Councilwoman Shonda Banks.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me, and I hope it's saying talking Shauna Banks. I don't hear anything. But I am Councilwoman Shauna Banks, the Metro Council for District 2. The fact that this is the Baton Rouge Airport's 15th year annual Citizens Opportunity Workshop, along with let you know that for at least 10 years, as it relates to the business industry, Baton Rouge Airport formed this outreach. We can hear. This outreach in the business community when no one else was doing so. I would like to thank, first of all, Kenyatta Sparks with SJB for coordinating this wonderful experience in our new normal. Last year, you did a fantastic job, and it's very creative in this virtual world, the way you've coordinated today's workshop. To Mr. Mike Edwards, your leadership is phenomenal. I appreciate working with you. I'm very thankful that we have you, and it's so obvious how much you put the airport in front of everything that you do. You just do the work, and you're satisfied with the good report and good results that come about. To Mayor President Sharon West Room, certainly this airport and small business is the foundation and heart of your administration. Um, it's so phenomenal to know that we have city parish leadership that realizes that our economy is not built on necessarily large businesses, but it is small businesses. So we do appreciate that as well. And to our new chairperson, Matthew Butler, thank you again for your leadership. I did not meet you until you became a candidate for the board, an appointee, but certainly you've been very responsive to the needs of our community, as well as the goodwill and purpose that is being completed with the airport. One of the things about small businesses that I have noticed in the journey in making sure that as part of the normal day of business is that minority and small business contracts are part of the landscape to whenever we larger contracts or to lead contracts. Something happened as a surprise as a result of this initiative, as a result of the success throughout our parish. Those same contractors and businessmen are also the ones who are developing our communities. Just to give you an example, not to be specific, but when there's a contractor or a small business person that receives a contract from one of the businesses, federal, state, and local, those are the same ones that I am finding are duplicating efforts as it relates to housing development in my community. They're the ones who are building, purchasing, and building dilapidated businesses to rehab and put back into commerce. Those are the visionaries of the future. And that is welcome transition. So the money that contractors are as a result of their business interests, they are also adding this, making our communities do well as it relates to quality of life assets. So that is a welcome surprise. I just want to thank you all for this opportunity. No matter how good this virtual presentation is, I wish we all could meet in person. I hope 2021 will allow us to be back in one place. And again, thank you all the participants, all the persons that are presenters, and all those that have worked so hard to make sure that small businesses are on the front of what we do as a daily business throughout our community. Thank you again.
We want to thank you, Councilwoman Banks, for those words. Obviously, having this opportunity to host an event like this, just bring together some great collaborations of resource agencies that we're looking forward to, that we have the pleasure of allowing them to share with you who they are and what they offer, to allow you to have a successful and sustainable business. One of the things, though, that I want to point out prior to introducing our first resource agency, I just want you to kind of focus on the topics that's been spoken about so far today. I mean, you just heard the mayor give a small synopsis of what's going on within her city. Obviously, that's part of her main agenda, is making sure that she keeps, her team out there pushing and setting the plan forth as far as making sure that she has a successful program when it comes to establishing the DBE program. But as you can tell, just in, obviously in the meetings that she's had with the members here at the airport, also with the council, that they all are buying into it. And the evidence is just what I just shared with you as far as on the goals that we've set and what they've accomplished here at the airport is phenomenal. You hear the newly elected chairman speaks about the three topics: shared vision, shared goals, and shared success. And then you hear Councilwoman Banks come on and talk about the team effort. Excuse me, obviously she was mentioning the team effort of what we're doing here for the conference today, but I just take that even extended a little bit further in the team effort of what everybody's doing to make sure that we have a successful inclusiveness of the firms that's going to be in attendance today, to offer them the opportunities, because a lot of times we know that there's the technical things that can be done to assist them, but it's the opportunities that they're going to need to allow those technical the technical support to be advanced for them to be able to continue to grow. And when they grow, the economic development grows also in this area. Just having some sidebar conversations with the representatives here at the airport, I know what their vision is, outside of just focusing on when you're dealing with DBE goals. They want to have opportunities available for small businesses, whether there's a goal or not. And that's inclusive of what they want to do even internally here at the Baton Rouge. And that may be some of the things they speak about a little bit later on. But I want to make sure that, those are the things that continue to be focused on. Just so keep that in mind. The DB program that the mayor said that they're going to be getting established here shortly. The shared vision, shared goals, shared success, and the team efforts. Just keep focusing on that as you hear these next speakers. Is once again, they're going to give you some great information on who they are, the type of services that they provide to small businesses, and also how you better utilize those and be able to get in contact with them at a later time. Obviously, this window is going to give you an opportunity to meet them, but also these discussions can continue further. So the speaker that I'm going to introduce to you now is Ms. Ada Womack, the director of the Louisiana Small Business Development Center at Southern University, and she's going to be discussing small business resources available through them. Oh, I apologize. So with the breakout sessions, also we have four scheduled breakout sessions today that will be working simultaneously while the main stage is going as well. So as you can see here, follow your agenda closely, because with the first breakout session, we're going to have Mr. Trey Russell, who will also be beginning shortly, who will be talking about marketing your business during and after the pandemic, which is very important, because you don't want to prepare yourself when everything is already, when the skies are clear, so to say. You want to do the preparations now so you'll be ready to move full steam ahead when everything is back in order. So just be sure to follow your agenda, because you will have the breakout sessions, and we also going to have the exhibitors. We work this way out like this because obviously the event is scheduled for 3 hours, so we want to make sure that we respect your time. So we want to make sure that you follow everything according to what we have on the agenda. So make sure you follow the once again, the breakout session, and as well as what they're showing now, the exhibitors room. And once again, do your best. You can log in and you can follow along whichever one you want to listen to at that time. Obviously, this will be recording, so don't be concerned whether or not you'll miss out on anything. And with that being said, once again, let me introduce to you Ms. Ada Womack Bell, the director of the Louisiana Small Business Development Center at Southern University.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you, Kenyatta, for giving us the opportunity to be a part of the 15th annual Baton Rouge Airport conference again, and all the leadership at the Baton Rouge Airport. We at the Louisiana Small Business Development Center count it as a great honor to be here because it helped us to be a part of the small business community and contribute even more with our products and services that we offer as a whole. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Louisiana Small Business Development Center at Southern University. We offer services to the small business community. We are part of a network. We are funded through Small Business Administration, Louisiana Economic Development, and our host university. And let's see. In our host university, I don't know if you all can see the slides. Our host university, and we're funded through our host university, and we provide services for 7 parishes. We provide services for East Baton Rouge Parish, West Baton Rouge Parish, Point Capee, Iberville, East and West Feliciana, Ascension Parish, and the other surrounding areas. So we cover 7 parishes. Our mission is to facilitate the formation and growth of small businesses through individual one-on-one consulting services, entrepreneur workshops and training programs. We provide business education and information resources to help develop Louisiana's economy. So those small businesses that they're targeting and focusing on, minority-owned, woman-owned, veteran-owned, we assist them, and we assist all small businesses to help them reach their goals. That's our mission. So for our consulting services, our no-cost confidential consulting assistance is customized to your needs. So we help small businesses in every area with our consulting services. We have business consultants that will help evaluate your business idea, prepare marketing strategies, determining your financial needs, develop a loan proposal, conduct industry research and data, and create an action plan. We offer workshops and seminars. So we partner with SBA, LED, SJB Group, DOTD, Louisiana Department of Insurance, and we provide affordable workshops that small businesses can attend to gain that business information to help them grow and expand their businesses. And all of our trainings are designed to help you broaden the business knowledge, whether you're a new business or an experienced entrepreneur or a growing business or wanting to expand, we can help you in every area. So we offer business information and resources with no cost to business information resources to the small business. The LSBDC can help you gather that industry data, those marketing statistics that you need for that marketing plan, the research you need to develop, and the industry trends, competitors, suppliers to help you grow and develop. And we also have an online resource library as well. And we help you get to the person you need to get to, or help you get to that agency, organization that help you grow and develop as well. So some of our resources that are available just listed here: marketing, management, financing. We help you develop a plan, a strategic plan. We even help you expand if you want to grow and expand the business if you're already in business. Financial statements, we help you with procurement, as they talked about that earlier, assisting you with getting your woman-owned certification, veteran-owned, minority-owned. Even if you want your SCBD, small and emerging business development certification, we help you from getting all the certifications you need to get into procurement, whether it's with the city, state, or the federal government. So that's another area we work with SBA and LED on as well. So if you wanted to contact us, you can contact us at www.lsbdc.org. Here are just some of the trainings we have coming up. Actually, this afternoon, we have how to apply and understand disaster assistance programs. We're going to have our guest speaker with SBA, Joanne Lawrence and Marjorie ball on that. We have a veteran-owned certification coming up later on this month, October 21st. Then we'll have that DBE, SBE, and ACDBE certification program, and that's in a partnership with SJB Group. And then we'll talk about some LED programs later on that month, and then building your small business website, which is a SCBD training class through LED that small businesses can attend as well, to help them gain that marketing presence that they need, that digital presence now in the new norm that is most important. And if you want to contact us, here's our contact information. We are working virtually now with the hybrid, and we also can be contacted through our website or contacting us at the phone number 225-771-2891. And our goal is to help assist the small businesses to build their businesses and grow their business and build a diverse Louisiana economy and support our local community. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ada. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to share with us the resources that you all have available. Before we move on to our next speaker, I just want to make sure that I clear up as far as on how the program is working today. Once again, as the main stage is flowing, you can also log into either of the other two sessions that's going on simultaneously. You have the breakout sessions, which the next one that's going to be starting shortly was actually going to be followed up by our next presenter as well. But you currently right now can be in the breakout session room with Mr. Trey Russell, once again with Covalent Logic. He's doing marketing, your business during and after the pandemic. That still is going on right now. Also, you can go into the exhibitors room where you possibly would still have Mr. Larry Dent, commercial loan officer, who is speaking with Hope Credit Union. And obviously throughout, I'll be mentioning that information to you just as a reminder. We wanted to make sure we sent you 3 separate links, so then that way you can visit each one. Remember, you won't miss out on anything because this will be recorded and made available for you at a later time. But just wanted to make sure you continue to stay on with the theme in which we have. As you can tell, we want to be able to, the way that we show that we can assist you all in being successful with everything that's part of the vision on what's going on within the city and at the Baton Rouge Airport. These resource agencies that we have speaking to you can provide that. Obviously, that's in addition to what we can do. If time permits, I'll get into a little bit more detail with you about what we can offer. But I want you to mainly focus on what who we have speaking to you today, because we believe that those resource agencies offer some valuable resources that will allow you to be successful with the upcoming opportunities within the airport and, once again, the city of Baton Rouge and obviously across the state. So our next speaker is going to be Ms. Bonnie Garrigan. She's part of our team with SJB Group, and she's also the owner of Equity Economics, and she's going to do an overview of the Baton Rouge DBE program.
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to have everybody here. I'm glad to see such a great turnout on this new format, and thank you for coming. I do have my presentation, which I need to be able to see too. Give me 1 second. There we go. So I'm just here. I'm the consultant that works very closely with Kenyatta to set goals and monitor the compliance of the DBE program at the airport. So as you may know, the airport has a mandate from the federal government that is an effort to improve diversity on large federal grants. So the idea behind the DBE program initially was that, you know, the federal government was providing a lot of money to large, in the form of large grants to Department of Transportation recipients. And they wanted to ensure that a portion of that money was made available to small businesses as well as minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. So, you know, we administer that program at the airport to ensure that we continue to get grant dollars. And so it's very important to us to maintain that compliance and also to make sure that we're providing opportunities for our local businesses in Baton Rouge area. So the 49 CFR Part 26 is the DBE program, and it ensures that there's non-discrimination in the award of contracts that are grant assisted by the DOT. And it applies to any airport, transit agency, transportation agency that receives any grants in the excess of $250,000. So it goes even for our smallest agencies in our area. The DBE certification eligibility, it is open to socially and economically disadvantaged businesses that meet the small business size standards, and that also meet the gross receipts size standards. So they have to be a small business based on number of employees, but also based on their total gross receipts for the year. The ownership must have a personal net worth of less than $1.32 million, which I think most of us qualify for. And the ownership must be 51% or more minority or women owned. And that ownership really has to be shown by a day-to-day direction of the company. So you can't just kind of be an owner of the company that is being awarded contracts. If you are considered a DBE firm, you actually have to be involved in the day-to-day work of that business. When we say socially and economically disadvantaged, there are some categories of presumed disadvantaged groups, and those are listed here on the right. And then there is a little bit of leeway in the legislation, and you can kind of make a case if you don't necessarily fall into one of these presumed categories. And that makes our certification very robust. Part of our certification program, which you may hear about later today, requires a site visit where people are on site to make sure that you are the owner of your business, and to make sure that those who work for you are actually employees of your company, and that you are capable of doing the work that you qualify, that you're stating that you can do when you get certified. So identifying those NAICS codes, for instance, that you can perform that work. These are the certifying agencies in our area, and it was wonderful to hear from our mayor that we may be increasing that capacity to certify in Baton Rouge, because I know that all of these agencies are sometimes overwhelmed by the new businesses that want to get involved in the DBE program, which we obviously want to encourage. I have seen great growth in certification, as was stated earlier. And the more firms that get certified, the higher our goals become, because our goals are a direct calculation of the availability of DBE firms that are certified in our area. So, I really encourage everyone out there, even if you're not exactly sure where your business would place in an airport contract, to go out and get certified. I really encourage it, especially at the end of the year, when you kind of already have all your tax paperwork, being collected, because it's pretty much the same information, and these guys will help you, walk you through the program. SJB Group will help you and walk you through the certification requirements and make sure that you are set up for success. So there are a lot of benefits of becoming a DBE. And, like I said, even if you can't exactly see where your business would fall in the airport, you would be surprised how many contracts are out there that the airport is looking for that are not always just construction or, building and designing things around the airport. So I encourage you, maybe in the breakout session, to ask me and talk about, this is what my business does. Can you see a value in that at the airport? Because I promise in my 13 years of working with the airport, you need to think of the airport as a small city, and they need a lot of things that are not just construction based. So, obviously being recognized by all of these agencies that have this requirement, anybody from the Department of Transportation, transit agencies, airports, highway administration, just being recognized and being part of their database when they're looking for special services. Being certified opens you up to participate in these federally funded contracts. So, prime firms are always looking to satisfy this requirement in bids, and the easier it is to find you, the better success that you will have in being able to participate in these larger contracts. Obviously, once you're certified, you'll be listed in the directory, which is open and accessible to everyone, especially prime firms who are generally kind of on the dash to put together their bid documents. And the easier it is to find you, the easier it is to rope you in and get you to participate in their projects too. So, now that you're certified, now what? Being proactive is probably the best thing that I can say. So you don't really want to sit at home or sit at the office kind of waiting for a prime firm to call you. Keep an eye out for those solicitations, get the bid documents, look at the design plans, see what you can accomplish. One of my favorite anecdotes of a DBE firm that really got out there, they read the bid documents, they identified the piece of work that they wanted to accomplish, and they put together a tiny bid for that piece of work, and they sent it out to all of the prime firms that had attended the pre-bid conference. And they were, as a DBE, you can be listed on multiple bids, so you're not beholden to one prime firm. So that firm was automatically included in every single one of the prime firms' bids and was almost guaranteed a slot because they had done the work ahead of time. They had made it easy for the prime firm. They basically sealed their success because the prime firm didn't have to do anything to get that DBE participation on their side. Market your firm, attend pre-bid conferences. Those are all really great ways to get out there and let people know that you want to do it. You want to work for the airport. You want to do these jobs. You want to be included in these future bids. The last one here is making sure your NAICS descriptions is current and complete. So when prime firms are looking for participation, they're really just searching keywords that DBEs say that they are certified to do. And because you have to get those NAICS codes on your certification, and part of the certification process is making sure that you have experience doing the work that you say that you can do. That's a great way to get prime firms confident that you know how to do the work that you do because you've been certified to do that work as a DBE. But also it's great, having that keyword search, because if I'm searching, plumbing, I can quickly pull up all of the DBE firms that are certified to do plumbing. And, if you're not certified, if you don't add in all the NAICS codes that could potentially describe work that you can do, then you may miss out on that one of those opportunities because, you may be capable of doing the work, but you just don't have that NAICS code, so you don't show up in those searches. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time on the DBE goals because this is a pretty important year. Every 3 years, we set an overall goal for the airport, and that overall goal is based on historic participation on contracts. It's based on current availability, and it's based on the projects that we anticipate doing in the next 3 years. So this year is that year, and actually this presentation will kind of walk through that DBE goal calculation, and we are still in the public comment period. We've been advertising, but we're really taking this opportunity to to show you guys the proposed goal, get your input, get your thoughts, and finalize that goal by the end of the month. So I really encourage you to take an opportunity to look at the proposed goal and see what you think. It is calculated based on metrics, but your thoughts and ideas are always welcome, and we want to hear from you. Contract goals are set basically in order to attain the overall goal that we have. We set contract goals on all of our contracts that are federally funded. And that allows us to kind of set a goal for the prime contractor to make sure that we have that level of participation. Again, contract goals are based on the type of work that is going to be required for that project and the number of ready, willing, and able DBE firms to participate in that project. So the proposed goal for the 2021-2023 fiscal years is currently set at 11.43%. And like I said, we are open right now through October 31st for your feedback. This is based on the accomplishment of past work, and also the commitments that we've seen on past projects. I'm going to go a little bit more into depth on this next slide. So these are the projects that we are seeing in the next 3-year cycle. We're continuing to work on this runway 1331. And actually, one of the great things about one of our goals as far as the DBE program is to really break up these projects as much as we can to make them more accessible to small businesses and to hone them in on the scope of exactly what's going to be happening. So whereas some airports may do a $27 million bid to do this large project, it's actually best practices in our in the DBE world and in airports to break up these projects into phases so that they are more accessible, and there's more opportunities for DBEs to participate. And so this is really a testament to some of the great work that our designers are doing at the airport to break up these large projects into small phases. It helps the airport kind of maintain momentum on these multiple year projects, but it also creates a lot more opportunity for DBE firms. So again, these are the projects that are coming up in the next 3 years. And then this is, kind of a sample of how we calculate the goal. So when I am calculating the overall goal, I take each one of those projects, each one of those 6 projects, and break them out into kind of mini goals. So I look at the amount of work that's going to be done and the type of work that is going to be done. So if you're looking here, we're seeing electrical, we're seeing highway, street, bridge construction, we're seeing landscaping, sod and, repairing the ground after they come in. There's a lot of site preparation, clearing, older structures, and obviously some heavy civil engineering and construction, which is, building roads, bridges, drainage, and that kind of thing. So the first thing we do are look at the register of DBEs on that laucp.org list, and we calculate the number of firms who have listed this NAICS code to figure out how many DBE firms are kind of ready, willing, and able to do this work in our community. And that number for electrical contractors is 71. So in the Baton Rouge metropolitan statistical area, there are 71 DBE firms that are certified to do electrical contracting work. And then we look at the census data, another great reason to turn in your census. So now I'm looking at the number of total firms that are available in that same market area of the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Statistical Area. And so there's 1,000 firms there. This third column is the percent of the project. So this is kind of the weighted value of how much of the project is going to go towards electrical work. So as you can see here, you know, the major part of this project is going to be the concrete, basically, but all these other pieces play a role. And then that creates the relative availability. So we're really just multiplying, creating that ratio of 71 over 1,000, and then multiplying it by that 11% to create this relative availability, which we then sum to create the what I call the mini goal of that 12% for this project. So we've done that for each and every one of those 6 projects to come up with a what is called in the legislation kind of the base goal. So all of this methodology is set forth in the DBE legislation in that 49 CFR part 26. And so this creates the base goal. And then what the legislation allows us to do, if we go to the next slide, is adjust that base goal based on recent accomplishments, on awards and commitments, and on other factors that we see to make sure that that goal is as accurate as it can be in the market that we are seeing. So even if there's only 3 firms that maybe do plumbing work in our community, if we know that those 3 firms are very active and are involved in all of our airport projects and are definitely going to bid, it gives us the opportunity to adjust that goal based on what we've seen in the past. So I like to look at the recent accomplishments. So these are completed projects and our accomplishments from each year. But I also like to look at the awards and commitments of those years. And the reason I do that is because the accomplishments is a little bit behind the times. So the accomplishments is when a project completes. But that may be, you know, we only have a few projects that complete in every year. And so I also like to look at what we're looking at coming forward. So these are the projects that may not have been completed. And it also gives us the opportunity to look at who was available at the time of bid. Because sometimes at the airport and in any big project, we have scope changes, or we decide to you know, not do part B of a project, and that can sometimes impact the accomplishment of a project. But I want to go ahead and capture that those firms were still ready, willing, and able. So when we calculated this goal, we looked at, we adjusted the goal based on both the recent accomplishments, which is that 7.27, and the recent availability. So these are the firms that were ready, willing, and able, stepped up, bid on contracts, and were awarded contracts. So that's that 15%. And if we can go to the next slide. So the final step of the goal calculation is really just finding that average of those 3 numbers. So the relative availability of all those mini goals, and then the past accomplishments and the past awards. So right now we are proposing a 3-year goal of 11.43%. And that is going to be submitted to the FAA at the end of this month, based on your feedback. So that's kind of all I have. I was going to take this next session into my breakout session, where I'm going to go into more depth on the requirements of the bid documents. I love answering questions about bid documents, because the cleaner we can get our bids in, the more success that we have as an airport in getting the lowest bidder, but also to make sure that all of our DBEs are getting the opportunity to participate, and that our prime firms understand what those requirements are, so that we don't have any confusion at the time of bid, which is obviously too late. So thank you very much. I'm welcoming questions in my breakout session.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bonnie. I definitely highly recommend. Once again, let me give you a quick reminder. This event is being recorded, and it will be available via the airport's website, and we'll also have it available on the DB Supportive Services website, which is www.louisianadbe.com, and you'll be and make sure you spell Louisiana out. But I definitely recommend that you listen in on the breakout sessions, because it definitely is going to flow well with the information that you'll be receiving from the resource agencies also. Because even speaking on that matter, as far as the resource agencies, one of the things that Bonnie was saying, she was encouraging the firms to get certified. Obviously, when you get certified, you do, you get that attractive tool that you'll have now, if you want to say, on your tool belt for when you are chasing projects. Obviously, this is not a mandatory goal or mandatory project. It's not a set aside. You still have to go through the same bid process. However, sometimes it does play a factor when you are DB certified and there is a goal on there. So I highly recommend you do get certified. If you already are currently certified, you can increase your codes. We'd be more than happy to assist you in that, because as Bonnie stated, as the database grows, their opportunity to put goals on the projects grows. But also when they take a look, as you saw the breakdown on how she does the goal methodology, the more certified firms you have that are listed to do those specific line items also affects the goals. So we always highly encourage the certified firms to, increase their line items when they can. Obviously, you would have to provide evidence such as an invoice or a contract along with the request form, but we can walk you through that process. But then being certified, in addition to that, you also get the free assistance from supportive services. And also there are some aspects of what our resource partners offer free as well. So you definitely want to take advantage of that, because that's going to be the upfront tangible evidence of the benefit of being certified. And then also speaking about the some other internal opportunities within the airport, there is what's called the ACDBE. That's airport concessionaire. You will automatically be certified or approved as an ACDBE certified firm once you've been certified as a DBE. It's not an application process. All you have to do is contact your certifying agency and request to have that designation, have that certification added to your cert. Now, obviously, you have to begin doing work at the airports before they would do that. But when that comes into place, like there's goals right now that they have for the airport vendors, such as the restaurants and the newsstands. I believe that goal is 2.06%, and then you have a 2.03% goal for all the for the rental car companies. And that's obviously those goals are put into place to allow you to, those firms who are not within the construction arena to still have an opportunity to obtain some goals. Some projects here at the Baton Rouge Airport. And then also getting certified, it may have something that may be in place, just like Bonnie mentioned during her presentation, and just like the mayor mentioned during her welcoming address. They have the anticipation that they may be in the process of developing a DB program for the city. Obviously, if you're already in position for that, you never know what they may have as far as an option for firms who are already certified. So it's best to be proactive in your efforts right now of obtaining that certification versus waiting until an opportunity comes. And obviously at that point, it's going to just pass you by. So I definitely would highly recommend that you take advantage of that. So with that being said, our next speaker that I'm getting ready to introduce to you, which I think segues right into what we're talking about, is Ms. Paula Roddy. She's the DOTD Compliance Program Director, and she'll be just sharing with you a little information on getting certified as a DBE/SBE, as well as just giving you a small synopsis of what's going on with the DBE program at DOTD.
Good morning. I am Paula Merrick Roddy, and I would like to say on behalf of Secretary Sean Wilson, I bring you greetings from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development Compliance Program section. So as we go to our next slide, today I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about our DBE program and our SBE program, the highlights of this program, and some very exciting things that are happening in our program as we go to our next slide. So as the young lady from the airport alluded earlier, the DBE SBE program for the DOTD is very similar to what the airport does. The intent of the program is to always level the playing field for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals who want to do business with DOTD on federally funded projects. The SBE program, we look at individuals who are economically disadvantaged. And we have a unified certification program, and that we also follow the federal guidelines on it. And so on the next slide, you'll see that the Federal Highway Administration, FAA, and FTA, all of these programs fall under US DOTD, and we have to have DBE and SBE programs. There are 4 agencies that was talked about earlier that are the certifying agencies. Department of Transportation and Development headquarters, we handle the whole state. And then we have other, in our New Orleans region, we have the Louisiana, the New Orleans International Airport, the New Orleans Regional Transit Authority, and we also have DOTD New Orleans office. So let's kind of get into the meat of it on our next slide. So only firms that are certified through the Louisiana Unified Certification Program can be counted toward our DBE goals for federal DBE participation. So you must be certified before you can work on these projects for us to get the gold credit on them. A percentage of the awarded amount must be subcontracted to a prime contractor who is certified as a DBE or an SBE. For example, on a project that's say $100,000 and it has a 10% goal, $10,000 of that particular project has to go to a DBE certified company. The project goals are set by our DBE and SBE goal committee prior to advertisement. And we're going to discuss that just a little bit later on another slide. So the small business element, we look at pretty much the $150,000 to $500,000 goals on projects, projects having that particular dollar amount. And then on our DBE projects, it's all federally funded projects over $500,000. All right, so now let's talk about what is DBE certification. What exactly is a DBE? Well, a DBE is a for-profit small business concern. You have to have 51% owned by one or more individuals who are both socially and economically disadvantaged. The federal regulation that governs our program, we call it pretty much our Bible, it's the CFR 49, Part 26, Subpart D gives the specific certification standards. Also, Subpart E talks about, goes further into certification standards. And again, these particular regulations spell out everything as far as what it takes to be certified as a DBE. So on the next slide, there are specific groups, as was discussed earlier, that are what we call presumptive groups that include women, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, Asian Pacific, and what have you. Pretty much your minority groups. We look carefully at the economic disadvantage of the minority, of the minorities who are trying to get certified in our program. So as we go to our next slide, these 5 areas are key in determining if a firm can qualify as a DBE. Your personal net worth, your business size standard, which cannot exceed 23.98 million. If you have actual ownership of the company, if you are independent and you actually manage and control. As far as independence, the non-minorities persons have to have a complete independence of that company. And you have to show that you control the day-to-day operations of your company. For example, if you are a baker and you want to start a trucking firm, well, you really have to have expertise in trucking. You know, that's not showing that you really know about your company. They have management and control of it. So on our next slide, This is our landing page for our compliance program section. When you come to this page, it lists all of our compliance programs, but at the bottom, there is a link, and if you click on that link, that will take you to, on the next slide, this is our unified certification page, and it shows the other agencies that can certify you depending on the area of the state that you are. This gives additional information about the unified certification program, which USDOT requires. At the bottom, there is a link that will take you to another page that also gives you, on the next slide, and this gives you details information about our DBE application, the instructions for sending the application, as well as the required documentation. It also lets you know that there's a personal net worth statement, and it gives you information on how to send in the required documents, or you can also bring them into our headquarters office. On the next slide, this is just a snippet of the application process. This is what starts everything. This gives a detailed step-by-step directions on exactly how to go through the process of getting all your information together. And there's a checklist that's located here. So as you go down the checklist, you will see the required documents that you have to furnish to us in order to for us to make a determination on your eligibility for certification. So on the next page, I wanted to talk just a little bit about our goals. So once you become certified, we set goals on all projects, SBE goals for projects up to 500,000, and then projects that are 500,000 and over, we have DBE goals set. So we actually have in compliance a calculation sheet that we look at, and it's an actual mathematical calculation. And so when you're in school, you ever wonder what were you ever going to do with algebra? Well, this is what we do. And there are certain things that we look at, the work items, the number of available DBEs to the total DBEs, and it depends on what area of the state that the work is in. We also look at the dollar amount for each of the work items and then the project total. And so all of these variables go into our calculation, and we come up with a particular goal. This goal is not done in a silo. We have a committee, and the committee is made up of our compliance staff as well as our highway construction engineers. So it's various things that we look at, not just this one particular goal sheet. And we come up with a particular goal for a project. And the main thing I want to emphasize here is that we look at realistic DBE goals. We want the goal that we set to be realistic for the particular area and the particular work items. So on the next slide, I want to talk just a little bit about DBE contract administration. So once a goal is set on a project, it's advertised, the low bidder has received their information that they have the bid, and they see there's a goal on the bid. We work with the prime step by step. There are many documents, they're called post-bid documents, that have to be turned into us, and they're very time sensitive. So once the bid comes out, we inform the company is informed, the prime is informed that they have the bid. And then those post-bid documents go out and they have to be returned back to us. One of the key documents that we have to get back is called a CS6 AAA form. And that is the form that states what the goal is, and the prime contractor has to let us know all of the DBE firms that they will use for the particular work items to meet that particular goal. And keeping in mind, the DBE has to be certified in those work items before the project is put out for bid letting, not after. It must be before. So it's important, if you are a company, that you get certified prior to any lettings. It has to be prior to. So once those documents are turned into us, we review the documents to make sure they're all correct and the firms that are on those forms are certified in those particular work items, and then we approve it, and then the project is ready to go. We also monitor the payments to the DBEs. Everything is done electronically. So when an estimate is set forth by prime, the DOTD pays the prime, and then there's a 30-day window after the primes are paid that the DBEs are paid. So we monitor that, and they have to document that in our civil rights system. So on the next slide, we also look to make sure that the DBEs are performing what we call a CUF, which is a commercially useful function. If the DBE selected is a trucker, that is the type of work that they should be doing. They should not be doing, say, something as far as, let's say, laying asphalt. It needs to be something that they are certified in, and it is a work item in that particular project. Not only DBEs have to submit, the information has to be submitted for those DBEs, we have to know all subcontractors that are on that particular project. So there's another form that has to be submitted to us to request the sublet documents, so we know everybody that's on that particular project. Once the project is complete, there are also project closeout documents that we have to get, and we do a reconciliation. So we start out with the CS6 AAA, all of the firms who are DBEs who are supposed to be on the projects. We request the sublet forms to make sure everybody who was on the project, and then the closeout forms to see what was actually paid to everyone. And that is how we reconcile all of our documents, and it goes into our computer system to see if the goal was met on particular projects. So each one of these goals, going to the next slide, each one of these goals on our DBE projects folds into our goal on our department. So if we look at the next slide, the department has a goal, and I'll get to that in just a second. So for DBE and SBE, we have tried over the last year or so to really grow this program. We have continuous outreach efforts, and we're trying to go to even before COVID hit. So I'm going to call it pre-COVID and post-COVID. We attended many seminars and conferences. We shared information about the program, trying to grow the program. And we also work very closely with our DBE Supportive Services Consultants, SJB Group, and Urban League of Louisiana. So we are trying to grow the program to make sure we have more DBEs on board. So when these federal projects come down, and all through the COVID, highway construction didn't stop. In fact, we became busier. Something else that we're doing to help DBEs, we're strengthening our procedures for tracking the payments to make sure our DBEs are getting paid on time. We're trying to reduce what we call prompt payment complaints that come out when a DBE asserts that they have not been paid by their prime contractor. So again, we're cracking down on that and making sure that the primes are paying the DBEs the way they're supposed to. We've also improved our processes as far as achieving our goals. We've also established some what we call DBE milestone reports, where we look at what's going on with the project, the percentage of the project that's complete, how far they are as far as meeting the goals on the project, and it's in real time. And so that can help us to reach out to the primes to see what's going on, and if they're a certain percent completion, how is that affecting the goal? And that rolls all into our big goal for the department. And so the last thing, the attainment of our DOT DBE department goal. So if you look on the next slide, in 2020, our DBE goal for the DOTD increased to 15%. It was at 13.09%. Now for the next 3 years, it's at 15%. This is how we stack up as far as looking at the southern regional states. Louisiana is actually higher than the southern regional average at 15%. And we're only second to Missouri. And if you would look at all the states and territories, Louisiana ranks 12th as far as our goal. And so pretty much right now we're on track. We are looking pretty good as far as our goal and trying to meet it. Our federal fiscal year ended September 30th. And so now we're in our closeout period. And the closeout will end December 1st. And that's when we have to report the official number as far as what we made, if we attained our DBE goal or not. So it's looking pretty good right now. Our preliminary number is really looking good as far as that percentage. And the bottom line to that is that this means the money is really getting out to the disadvantaged business community in our state. And so we're very excited as far as what's going on, some of the improvements that we've made in trying to achieve this goal. And what works for DOTD ultimately works for our DBEs in our community. If you have any questions, this is our contact information on our next slide. If there are any questions that you have for myself or my program manager, Rhonda Wallace, that's our contact information. Or if you have any comments or suggestions for improvement in the program, that's what we want to do, is strengthen this program and make sure we are doing what we're supposed to be doing, and hopefully increase that goal. 15% is a goal, and that's all it is. It would be great if we greatly exceeded that goal. So we're definitely trying hard not to fall short of that. So I want to thank you again for your attention, and also thank you for allowing us to participate in your Business Opportunities Workshop.
Thank you so much, Ms. Paula. We appreciate you taking time out of your calendar to share this information with us. One of the things I do want to just kind of expound on a little bit, in addition to what Ms. Paula was sharing with you, she showed you all that there are 3 certifying agencies within the state of Louisiana. Obviously, DOTD is the governing agency. And then you have the Louis Armstrong Airport in New Orleans, who is another certifying agency, as well as the Regional Transit Authority. And obviously those play a factor because the 3 federal agencies with that is Federal Highway is DOTD, Federal Aviation is Louis Armstrong Airport, and also Federal Transit Authority is RTA, because you have federal funds which assist in their programs, in their projects, which is why they're going to be the certifying agencies. But the great thing about it is when you get certified by one, you're accepted by all 3. So you do not have to go through a certification process with all 3 of them individually. You get certified through one, and once again, you're accepted by all 3. Like Ms. Paula stated, they pretty much certify statewide. However, if you're within the New Orleans area, you can go through the Louis Armstrong Airport, or you can go through RTA. So once again, as you can see, the flow that we have going here, man, is just showing you the importance of taking advantage of becoming certified, but also seeing the benefits of being certified. Once again, just to kind of as a reminder, just to share with you, that's the reason why what we have with our breakout sessions, which right now Ms. Bonnie Kerrigan should be going at this time. And we also had Chris Garrison, who may have just wrapped up. He was giving some information as far as concerning to how city parish purchasing works, because once again, we had the mayor on and she was speaking about things that's going on within the city. So we just want you to be prepared for that as well. But also the projects that go through the airport also go through city purchasing. So we want you to understand how that process is. And then as you'll see, Ms. Bonnie Garrigan, once again, is speaking in addition to the post-bid documents when it comes to doing those city parish as well as the Baton Rouge airport projects. So at this time, what we're going to do is take a 5-minute break, let you stand up, shake your legs out a little bit. We know you've been in front of the computer. Let your eyes get a little bit of rest. And then when we come back, I'm going to have the pleasure of introducing you to our keynote speaker. Y'all ready? All right. Hope y'all got a little stretch on, a little relaxation. So listen, like I said before the break, I have the privilege and the honor to be able to introduce our keynote speaker. We're excited to be able to have her speak to you all today, but we also excited that she's part of our team as well in some of our efforts of what we're doing for the small business community, not only here, you know, in our local area marketplace, but also across the state. So, you know, we have Ms. Savitri Wilson, who is our keynote speaker today, is the founder and CEO of the New Orleans-based technology startup Resilia, with a second office in New York that she founded in 2016 to revolutionize how nonprofits are created and maintained, and how enterprises, think cities, private foundations, and corporations scale impact. She has raised over $10 million for Resilia to date. She is also the founder of Solid Ground Innovations, LLC, her first company, a strategic communications agency, and the author of Solid Ground, How I Built a Seven-Figure Company at 22 with Zero Capital. In 2019 year, Resilia was named to Venture Beat's top startups to watch out for in 2019. And Savitri to Inc. magazine's 100 female founders building world-changing companies, and to Pitch's 27 leading Black founders and investor lists. Her book, Solid Ground, spent 6 weeks as the #1 on Amazon in the startup category. You can find her on her social media outlets at Savitri Wilson. So without further ado, it's my pleasure and honor once again to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Ms. Savitri Wilson.
Thank you, Kenyatta. I appreciate you giving me that robust introduction. I'm happy to be here with you all. So I'm not driving a presentation, so hopefully you all can see it. Want to just kind of start off by going a little bit further in my background. Kenyatta talked a lot about Resilia, my tech company, but I feel that Solid Ground Innovations is probably most relevant for this conversation because I use many state and local programs such as the DBE certifications, the Hudson Small Business Initiative certifications to do business and position myself to partner with others and to successfully go after contracts. Yet when I was talking and to Kenyatta about what I would speak about for this conversation, he really wanted to press upon me to talk more about my background and less about my business. And you can definitely sign up for our monthly webinars. As he mentioned, we partner with SJB Group to present topics on government contracting, doing business with the DOTD, and how to partner and gain certifications. And so if you're interested in really going deep about business, I would definitely hope that you would sign up for those webinars in which we give on a monthly basis, and we engage throughout that time, so very responsive to emails. So I started SGI in 2009, a strategic communications and management firm. We were essentially working across the spectrum as a true agency, marketing, advertising, giving workshops as we do now with SJB Group, but really, when we think about business and how we get started, a lot of how we really go after and the resilience that we have in building our business stems from where we got our start, so our background. If there was one piece of advice that I have been given, it's that who you are and your foundation is really what builds your character and really what stores you through building and really taking your business to the next level. And so a little bit about me. I'm a first generation college student. So the first of my family to go to college. My brothers and siblings would eventually also go on to receive degrees, but I come from a pretty small rural town by way of New Orleans, Hammond, Louisiana, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, if not even have some of you from Hammond. And so I grew up very much so in this family-oriented community. I always say that we kind of grew up on a farm-like compound with my grandmother's house in the middle and my grandfather having enough land in rural Hammond to give 2 to 3 acres of land to his children, whom then built homes on that land. And so grew up in a very close-knit family, even though my grandfather, my parents didn't have a college education, they pressed upon us the benefit of education, how it would allow us to expand our network and essentially meet other people, right? And so for them, they were not afforded that opportunity. And so when I had the opportunity to leave Hammond and go off to LSU for undergrad, I began to really understand the power of network and the power of the influence of my professors upon my future. And I remember sitting in one of my professors' classes, Dr. Leonard Moore, he's now at UT Austin, and he said, when you enjoy what you do, you don't watch the clock. And I feel that that one sentiment led me to think about, what am I doing, right? What am I going to do after college? And it also pressed upon me to think about entrepreneurship. Right. And so if I wanted to really build and design my future, could I necessarily do that if I wasn't building something? And I consider myself a true builder. And so in 2009, I launched Solid Ground Innovations, and from there was able to bootstrap that company to 7 figures. When I was growing Solid Ground, I think about the certifications that I was able to gain, the contract that really changed the momentum for us was a contract that we secured with Aetna Better Health. They were coming into the state to provide Medicaid services via the state health department. And so they were searching for an agency to provide marketing, advertising, who really understood the community, understood the groundwork that needed to be put in for them to build their offices here throughout the state. And the individual that ended up selecting us for that work was actually based in Connecticut. And so you could imagine them never having been to Louisiana, now leading the efforts to build an entire team, as well as open up offices across the state. Finding the people on the ground wasn't an easy task. Now, the way they actually found us was that they went to opportunitylouisiana.com, so LED's website, Louisiana Economic Development's website, and they looked for Hudson certified companies. So the Hudson Small Business Initiative was put in place to incentivize agencies as well as contractors to work with small businesses in Louisiana. And so when they were going through those lists, they came about our company. And so I think about the opportunities that being certified has led to for myself, and how it has propelled us to be able to gain 7 figures. And now with Resilia, we are an 8-figure company. Also, a little bit about my background, both of my parents are deceased. And I mentioned I grew up in a small rural area outskirts of Hammond, Louisiana, close to Robert. And both of my parents passed at a very young age. My father was 8. I was 8 years old. My father passed. I was 21 when my mother passed, had just graduated undergrad. And so I really thought about, what does my future now look like? And so I kind of had this idea that I had been working so hard. And I think a lot of us who come from small towns, who don't have necessarily an inheritance to support us, who have watched their parents work really hard, we think about how we can afford the ability to do more for our parents, right? So that they don't have to work as hard. And so when my mother passed away, I felt that the opportunity was taken from me. Now, as I began to think about, okay, I've worked this hard, I wanted to afford this opportunity to give my mother a better life. Now what? That really was the impetus of what made me, as I feel, work even much harder. Work harder to create a legacy, work harder to build a business that could give the opportunity now to others, not even those inside of my own household, to really begin to create the world they had imagined. So what led me to technology? Starting Solid Ground Innovations as young as I did, there was a lot of things I just did not know, right? First time business owner, we began to really hone in on our skills and capabilities. I began to partner with organizations and other small businesses who essentially began to really teach me the methods that I needed to increase my capabilities. And so oftentimes I talk about subcontracting and how that gives you an edge to subcontract under primes to understand what you need, the capabilities you need in order to grow. But as we began to look at the space around us, we began to see the opportunity that technology had to really advance our space. And so when you think of technology probably today or even 10 years ago, you know, the type of technologists look like very certain people, right? And so you have like the Elon Musk of the world, the Mark Zuckerbergs of Facebook, the Ellisons who founded Oracle, and they had this certain look. But today we're seeing technology founders look a lot different. They range in age from those in their 20s to first-time technology founders in their 40s and 50s, because we're seeing the rise of cloud and SaaS technology, so software as a service. And so when you think about that, you look at software as a service founders, so SaaS technology founders, many of them are coming from dated industries. And so I have a friend who's building technology in the construction space, in real estate, myself for philanthropy and government. And so looking at the space that you're in and thinking how antiquated it is and ways that essentially via software solutions, we could essentially evolve this space, right? And so we know that technology is, if it already hasn't, will disrupt every single sector. And I made a decision in 2016 that either I was going to be disrupted by technology or I was going to be a disruptor. And so I began to build technology, software solutions really. So just taking a service that we were offering as consultants and then began to productize it. And I thought about, you know, we're doing this manually. It's taking a huge lift to be able to execute this project or this work, or we have all this bottleneck via email communication. How can I alleviate that pain, particularly for our customers? And so I began to really push forward in building out this technology platform. And for me, my background, again, I'm a solo founder, you know, now in technology, still a solo founder, a double minority, being both African-American and a female. And then really, which was a huge issue if you wanted to go out and raise capital, I was non-technical, meaning that by my background in academia, don't know how to actually build software. I don't know how to code. But what I am really good at, which many of you may be really great at, is I have a vision, right? And I know how to build a team. And I think that is something that is really underestimated in just this quest to continue to grow your business, et cetera. How good are you at picking the right people who bring on the capabilities that you don't have that will align with you to grow your business? And that's really what made me so successful in telling and crafting this narrative and story to then go off to Silicon Valley to raise the initial round here with angels in Louisiana, $400,000, then a subsequent seed round of $2 million from investors from Atlanta, Chattanooga, Tennessee, San Francisco, and still here in Louisiana. So we have currently probably about 3 million of the 10.5 million that we've raised has come from venture capitalists and investors right here in Louisiana. That is really significant because there is a perceived, which is reality, a gap in venture capital when we look across the country, where most of venture capital and funding, right, that is dilutive, but not loans or something that you're borrowing against, sits in New York, Boston, San Francisco. Now you're seeing this expansion or an explosion of technology in the Southeast. And so that explosion, coupled with my ability to build out comparable teams, allowed me to now have raised over $10.5 million in venture capital for my second company, Resilia. 8 million of that I just closed in March, so on the onset of COVID-19. And the makeup of my investors, Calais, who is based out of Thibodeau, who invested 2 million of around 3 million from a Midwest venture firm called Cultivation Capital, who's the largest venture capitalist in that area fund. Investors out of LA who also came into that round, and then a numerous of smaller investors right here in the Southeast from Atlanta, and those utilizing pro rata, right? So the ability to come back into our round. And so even with all of this being said, it really makes me think about, what was the one compelling thing that allowed me to keep going, to do this work, because we have made history and have jumped over many feats and were able to be successful in areas that statistics would say were just not even capable or possible or had not been done. And it brings me to something that my pastor actually talked about, and that's what dealing with disappointments. And so that's the next slide that we have here. And to kind of wrap up this conversation, just want to talk about dealing with disappointments. And so my pastor talked about what is the one component around your life that has continued to allow you to excel. And there was one piece of advice that I'd give to business owners or founders about what that would be. I will respond easily with how you deal with disappointment. That determines everything, how you deal with disappointment, whether that be not getting the contract, not landing the job, getting passed over for the opportunity, knowing that you have the most capabilities, but someone with less experience getting the work. How you deal with disappointments will change everything. As we began to talk about and really dive deep into disappointments, really honing in on the fact that even though disappointments are certain, even though disappointments are constant, disappointments can be conquered. And when I think about what I have gone through to be able to get to the place that I am, I think about the roadblocks that came with every step of the way that initially pushed me back from being able to raise my first $1 million, and then the opportunity to meet a man by the name of Tim Milliken, who was a venture capitalist for TBG Capital, and him inviting me after hearing me pitch in New Orleans to San Francisco to meet with him, and having a conversation where he said, well, I'll write your first check into your seed round, and that should get you going. Well, it did get me going. Once people saw an investor of that magnitude inside of our company and really championing the opportunity that we had to build SaaS in this niche space, other investors followed. And so I think about all the no's that preceded prior to that I had to continue to keep going, and all the disappointments along the way of not winning the contracts, but continue to move forward. I always center back around on the biggest thing that will help you keep going is how you deal with disappointments, knowing that they are certainly going to occur, knowing that they're constantly going to occur, but knowing that you can conquer them and you can continue to build and grow a company and a business and help bring a lot of other people where you are from, places where you are from. They're often overlooked, often underfunded in many ways, devalued in a lot of ways to continue to prosper. And so just wanted to end there and want to thank again, Kenyatta, and everyone who was a part of putting together this webinar for inviting me on.
Savitri, we definitely thank you. We appreciate you giving us your time today. We appreciate that story. I think, once again, when we had our previous discussions about your topic, We definitely felt that people hearing, you know, where your beginnings was from and how you've gained the success over these years. We definitely believe that that's something that it would definitely breathe a lot of encouragement, especially during these unprecedented times that we're dealing with right now. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the words of wisdom. And obviously, hopefully that our attendees today was able to, you know, take some notes and be able to apply these things. Right now, we actually have, during our breakout session, Ms. Keisha Green Alexander, who is actually going to be doing the post-bid documents for the DOTD construction projects, as well as we will also be having, I believe it's going to be Ms. Tyra Banks with Metromorphosis Launch BR. That's going to be, she's with Innovation and Partnership Catalyst. That's going to be in our exhibitor session. As we move forward, our next speaker that we're going to have on our main stage is Ms. Lakeisha Robichaud. She's an entrepreneur, CEO, a chief of minds, and she's going to flow, which I think flows right well from having our keynote speaker. She's going to be talking about business resiliency.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kenyatta. I appreciate the welcome and good morning to everyone. As Kenyatta said, it is a great segue to talk about business resiliency from hearing Savitri speak on it, which I always love to hear her speak and really tell her story behind SGI and Resilient. So speaking about the business resiliency, as Kenyatta has just stated, really right now, as everyone know, it's been 7 or 8 months since the pandemic. Oh, and before I jump in, let me go flow with the slides that we have up here. So if you want to connect with me, here you can look at this slide on all of the social media channels. You'll find Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then website and email information that you can find. But you can connect with me on all of the social media channels. And we can go to the next slide. So if you are not familiar, just to give a bit of a background about myself and companies, I am the CEO and founder of Chief of Minds, and Chief of Minds is an outsourced HR management company. And so what we do for businesses is we handle the HR services. We are the HR department. So that's everything from their payroll, employee relations, the guidance and investigation, the consulting, human resources consulting with the strategy and how you want your company to grow, any type of investigations. We create employee handbooks. And as I stated, the payroll management and processing. So all of your taxes, everything is handled electronically through our human capital management system. We also have Chief of Mind Staffing, which handles temporary, direct hire, and executive recruitment. And we have an insurance, Chief of Mind's Insurance, which is employee group benefits. And along with our payroll is the time clocks. And then we also handle training and development. So training and development as far as leadership development, customer service development, business resiliency, like we're talking about right now, strategy and management, you name it. When it comes to employees and leadership, we offer that type of training and development. And then we also have our Biz Chiefs membership program, which is all about growing and scaling your business. And so those foundational tools and the growing tools that you need with different conferences and workshops that we do in order to help grow your business alongside with you. All right, so let's get into business resiliency. So business resiliency is really preparing your business to adjust, adapt, and respond when faced with adversity or a crisis, which is critical for success. Now, because we've had the pandemic and everything that's been going on over the past 7 to 8 months, business owners have had to evaluate their day-to-day operations, and that includes everything from the human resources, finances, and possibly implement new technology to continue business. So as we know, this is critical and has been critical for success for many businesses throughout this past 7 and 8 months. And when the pandemic hit, what we saw, and just speaking on from a lot of businesses that we were talking to, as everybody knows, the CARES Act came in, the FFCRA, is a lot of businesses were not set up to be resilient, unfortunately. It caused a lot of shifts to happen and for businesses to actually pivot and make changes that they were not set up to do. And so preparing for any type of disaster or if there's any type of adversity that comes into play, it is very important for businesses to make sure that they look at the risk that's involved and they do analysis to make sure that they have the operations, that they look at the functions, they look at their employees and see who is critical for success. One of the things that we really saw going through this pandemic is the awareness of what were the critical functions and what were not critical functions of different businesses. And so having to go in and evaluate that with the different companies caused a lot of shifts. And so as many of you know, that caused for some businesses, unfortunately, to close. Some businesses had to lay off employees. Some had to do different furloughs. So it meant a lot of different maneuvers and changes inside of businesses that they were not prepared for. So when we look at business resiliency, and you can go to the next slide, when we look at business resiliency, we need to know what does it mean to our business? How does it impact our business? What do we need to do? What do I need to change? What type of disruptions will it cause? How can I safeguard my business, the assets of my business, to make sure that I can continue to maintain business operations? Because that's where a lot of the disruption came in, not being able to do that. And that's all about the assessment, especially in a time like right now. Even though your business may have pivoted, it's very important right now to go back and look internally and externally on what the needs are of your business and how you can continue operations. Some individuals or some businesses, they've been able to continue operations for a couple of months. And now where we are 7 and 8 months, some have been able to sustain. But when we are faced with situations like this, we have to go in and really think about what does it mean to us? Okay, what type of flexibility can I withstand during a crisis? And when I say crisis, keep in mind, because I know we have the pandemic going on right now. When I say crisis, I'm really meaning everything from a natural disaster to the pandemic that we're in, even lack of talent that you may have inside of your organization and not being able to staff that lack of talent. Because right now that has been the notion and that has been a theme with a lot of businesses being unable to fill positions that they once had or even been able to recruit new positions that they need. So all of these are times of adversity. And when you have different things that go on, you need to make sure that you have the structures and the back office and operations in place to be able to maneuver throughout what that is. So this is, you can go to the next slide. So when we look at this, I know that Kenyatta wanted me to really speak on, the planning piece of this, what it takes and for businesses to be able to really withstand with that. So this, as you can see, these are a couple of bullet points here, and this is not everything, but this gives you a high level overview of effective planning, what it looks like, what it should be inside of your business, things that you should look at. And so doing an impact analysis and looking at important records and resources in your business. What are the essential functions of your business? Doing a risk assessment, what a response plan would be, what a communications plan, what would that look like? All of that is important when you're talking about business resilience for you and making sure your business can continue to live on and is sustainable throughout any type of disruption that is caused. And so one of the most important things I can definitely attest to is when you look at your essential functions and your essential people, who do you really need in order to make your business continue to run is really most important. And really dissecting that, from every role and the duties and responsibilities. And this may mean that in some businesses and organizations, you may have to, there may be dual roles, dual functions that others have to take on for a short period of time, or even maybe a long period of time, but to make sure that you can withstand and you can continue to work in your business, looking at your vulnerabilities. What would it take? Because not only are you looking at things that can help you withstand, but you need to look at the vulnerabilities to let you know exactly what can take you out as a business, what can stop the operations. So that way you can try to avoid that early on. You know, what do you need to do? What will stop my business from operating? What do I need to have in place? Who are the essential people that I need to have in place? What are the essential functions that they need to do? What's the essential technology that I need? Looking at giving a broad view and bringing in personnel to help you do this is extremely important. We're talking about a planning process. And this is something that honestly, we should, even right now, if you're up and running, you've got things back where they were, really looking at this right now to move forward is important as we continue throughout the pandemic, because we're not out of the pandemic yet. So continuing to look at this and doing a deep dive is extremely important. Now, I want to take a quick moment to really highlight this response plan, because this is back in March. This is where everyone was. You know, how will we respond? Because a lot of the planning wasn't done. It was just a quick shift to what does the response plan need to look like? How can I withstand? What do I need to do? So that response plan really needs to be important. You know, who are your key point of contacts? And if you don't have the technology set in place, you know, what is the technology? What does it need to be? What type of technology do I need to have so that way I can continue to run? Who are my vendors that I need to talk to? Who are my critical vendors that I know that I can still count on? They won't have any shortages as I continue to try to operate my business. They're still going to deliver in the time frame. The shipping will still be there. The response plan is very important as you move forward as a business. So you definitely want to make sure that you have something in place. And then of course it goes back to right after that, your communications plan of who you need to communicate and know what's going on, so that way you can continue to operate. Now, what we have seen is, you know, when you talk about the business resiliency and setting up the structures and the systems and the processes that you need to have in place, also, sometimes that pivot may not be to continue the business as it was. Sometimes that may be something totally different. I have seen other colleagues that actually have shifted from a different target audience, a different service, a totally different product, and they've been very successful with it. All because they did have systems and process. However, the need and the demand that they once had, it was no longer there. But because you have those critical systems and processes and operations in place, they were able to pivot and offer something new. You know, hand sanitizers and different, you know, equipment and things like that. But that's extremely, you know, that's important when you're looking at business resiliency and what you need. Part of those operations. Just to highlight some of those key functions, of course, if you're wondering what that should be, you know, it really should be your financial pieces, definitely looking at that, your day-to-day, your HR, you know, your people are your most important asset when we talk about assets and what needs to be covered and what you want to protect. So that's something that you should prioritize, and you really should look at, again, goes back to those essential functions and who you need. But make sure that you're prioritizing that. You go back, you look at it. When you do your assessment, you understand what is the risk at a large scale. How can you attack that? What does it, you know, what does it look like? And this should be something that should be done, as I said, internally and externally as well. Now, also don't confuse when you're doing your assessments for the business resilience, don't confuse it with the emergency response plan, because those are two different things. Your emergency response plan is going to be something that you have in place of how you would shift in the case of this emergency. But when you're looking at business resilience and you're looking at a contingency plan, this is for the long haul. What needs to be done with your business in order for you to continue to operate long term? So not just for a short period of time, but how you can keep operations moving forward as you continue to work on your business and grow in the business through any type of disaster, whether that's a cyber attack, a pandemic, you know, a data breach. As I said, you know, lack of talent. All of these are situations in which business resilience is so important. But the most important piece of doing this, as I said before, is making sure that you look, as we have on the bullet points on here, that you do the planning that's necessary and you identify what is needed, what is required inside of your business to be able to continue to operate. And unfortunately, with the pandemic that happened in March, there were a good bit of businesses that had to close doors because the systems, the operations and policies were just not in place. You know, how will the business move forward? Who would people report to? Things like that. So the planning piece is important. But once you have your plan, of course, you know, you have to move forward and implement this information. So I'm going to talk a lot more about this during the breakout session, but these are just the critical areas that I wanted to highlight when we look at effective planning for business resilience, because you have to have the planning, you have to prioritize what is needed in order to continue to operate your business. If you don't have a prioritized plan in place, then you really don't know exactly where you're going. You don't have it mapped out. And that's extremely important as a business owner, so you can know what needs to be done. So you can go to the next slide. And this is just really quick, just to highlight as far as setting expectations during business resilience, because there has been, as we already know, going through this pandemic, a lot of confusion, a lot of anxiety. But during any type of disaster or when you're faced with any type of adversity, reducing the confusion and anxiety is one of the #1 things that you want to do. And it all starts with communication. So communicating to your employees, communicating to your stakeholders, to your vendors, whoever is a part of your team and which helps you operate your business, that is important to reduce that and to let them know exactly what's going to happen up front. Establishing the expectations for your operations. These right here, the highlight, if you can see the screen, this right here is some of the foundational pieces that people really need to know what is going to take place. And not only for the short term, but continuing to give them updates long term on what needs to happen, okay? Just from the employees clocking in, the communications, finances, how will that work? If you have business development, what will that look like? Is it business as usual? What will the meetings look like? Clarifying the roles and communicating responsibilities. That's important as well, because everybody needs to know, okay, what is my role now? Has it shifted? Has it pivoted? And then highlighting the work-life balance as we go through the pandemic. So these are some of the core areas of setting expectations. Of course, it's not everything, but it's something that in your routine of communication and your plan of communication that you should highlight as some of the #1 things that you need to address as you move forward throughout this pandemic and you move forward with your contingency plan. But again, contingency planning goes right along with your business resilience. If you want to have a stable operation and you want to create the sustainability for your business, this will help you start thinking about building out a roadmap and then what that plan should look like. But as I said before, I will be speaking more about this and doing a deep dive during the breakout session. But business resilience is extremely important as we continue to move throughout this pandemic. But make sure that you have a plan in place and that you execute that plan properly to make sure that you're doing it with your employees, like I said, doing it with your vendors and your stakeholders, so you can move forward, hopefully. Or like I said before, even if that's not the case, you pivot in a totally different direction. Take advantage of the situation in which we have. If you have other services or products to offer, make sure you do it, but just do your due diligence beforehand of having a contingency plan to do it well. And that's for me, Kenyatta. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will see if you have any other further questions about this. I can speak with you during our breakout session.
Much, Lakeisha. We appreciate the valuable information. Obviously, as she mentioned, that was one of our key goals, was to have her on. We recognized during these unprecedented times, obviously due to COVID, a lot of the small businesses was unprepared as far as in their back office structure for a lot of the financial resources that was available, whether it was through the EIDL loans or the PPP loans or the Louisiana Main Street lending programs. A lot of times they just didn't have the proper documents readily available and they missed out on those opportunities. So we definitely wanted to make sure we made it a point to show the importance of that. So that's why we wanted to have Ms. Lakeisha come on, speak about those matters, excuse me, as well as she being one of the instructors during our breakout session. So obviously, any of our attendees that were listening to her speak just now, please feel free, because she's going right now into her breakout session. And I was, excuse me, as she mentioned, she'll be going into a little bit more in depthness of those topics, and which actually flows into our next speaker. We have Miss Cindy Carrier. She's the program manager for Louisiana PAC in the Southeast Louisiana office. And she's going to be speaking about small business resources available.
Thank you, Kenyatta. And thank you all for sticking with us and joining us today. We have thrown a lot of information at you, and we want to just make sure that, especially for the resource partners, I know it gets kind of confusing for small businesses on what agency does exactly what. So feel free to reach out to the SBA, the SBDC, PTAC, and we will point you in the right direction. If you ask PTAC a question and that's not within our wheelhouse, we will certainly let you know that we're not the ones. Please, contact the Small Business Development Center and give you the contact information there. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and start my slide presentation. There we go. So what we do and who we are is the Louisiana Procurement Technical Assistance Center. That is a mouthful. We are known as PTAC, or Louisiana PTAC. And what we are all about is assisting Louisiana businesses in selling to the government or prime contractors. So we will assist you in selling directly to government agencies or subcontracting through prime contractors. PTAC compete each year for a government contract ourselves with Defense Logistics Agency, which is a Department of Defense agency.
Motion detected at the front door.
The joys of virtual Zooming. There's somebody at my front door. Sorry about that. We are absolutely free to all Louisiana-based businesses because our funding comes from the Department of Defense, UL at Lafayette, which is where our headquarters is, and the state of Louisiana through Louisiana Economic Development. We are a statewide program. There is another PTAC, which is a regional program in North Louisiana. They're known as the Northwest Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and they assist businesses in Shreveport area, but feel free to reach out to us and we'll point you in their directions as well. Our current statistics for Louisiana PTAC as of September 20th, and our reporting period is June through September thus far, and we have helped Louisiana-based businesses receive contracts totaling $121.3 million, and that's approximately 493 contracts. Some of them go to large businesses. We assist large businesses. They don't particularly need the PTAC services to help with bidding, quoting, writing a proposal, but they use PTAC to help them in identifying good quality subcontractors. Next slide, please. Okay, one of the most fundamental or basic things that PTAC will do for you, and we have PTACs that are assigned to certain territories, parishes, if you will. So what your PTAC counselor is going to be doing for you is setting up what we call your bid match. And what that means is each and every day, we will be sending you government bid leads. So it's going to be local government, state of Louisiana government, any other state that you want us to pull and forward bid leads to you from, even international bid leads. So the bid matching process that you will work with your PTAC counselor is setting up your code and keyword profile, which means you tell us, PTAC, if this word or word phrase shows up in a government bid lead, I want you to pull it and send it to me daily via email. So they will show up in your email box on a daily basis. The sources that Louisiana PTAC searches right now is 3,500 websites. That's a lot. We pay a programming service, an IT company, to do that for us based on your specific keyword profile, or what we call your customized bid matrix. The federal government primarily uses one source, which is beta.sam.gov, and the state of Louisiana uses LAPAC. But if you ask us to search for you the entire United States, then we're searching for all those states and all those counties in that state. And as I've already said, we will help you sell directly to the government, which would make you a prime contractor, or we can assist you with subcontracting to a prime contractor, large or small, with the government. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a list of all the contracting assistance that we provide. But just feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email if it has anything to do with government contracting at any level, local, state, federal, prime contracting, subcontracting, even down multiple tiers as far as subcontracting. So a list of things that we're going to do for you, free, no charge to you, because your taxpayer dollars is already funding us through the federal and state government. We're going to provide the bid matches, which we've already talked about. We will also assist you in your bid and proposal preparation, having another set of eyes and ears to go over all the paperwork that you might be pouring through to try to submit your proposal or your quote. We will also get involved in assisting you with mandatory registrations. At the federal government, that mandatory registration is SAM, System for Awards Management. As a module within SAM is something known as the Dynamic Small Business Search module. You'll want to make sure that that is putting your best foot forward to try to get more business with the government. PTAC will also get involved in all the state LED certifications to assist you to move forward and grow your business in the government contracting arena. The Hudson Initiative, the Louisiana Veterans, the Small Emerging Business Development Program. Bonnie has already mentioned to you the SBE and DBE through SJB Group and Urban Business League. The Woman-Owned Small Business and Economically Disadvantaged Woman-Owned Small Business, 8A and Hub Zone. Those are all SBA programs, and we work closely with the SBA district office in New Orleans, Mike Ricks and Joanne Lawrence and their entire team on helping you get certified for contract set-asides. So you will see bid leads that come out from PTAC that will say set aside for small business, set aside for 8A, set aside for service disabled veterans. So it is a goal, but there's set asides attached with federal government projects. Then we assist with the veteran verification process. This is a little different than certifications. If you're a veteran or a service disabled veteran, PTAC, we particularly have a subject matter expert, Jane Kulik, who assists our veterans and service disabled veterans with their veteran verification to go after service disabled veteran-owned small business set-asides, and then veteran and service disabled veteran-owned small business goals. Packaging. This is an area that the government doesn't make really easy. They do not spell out in words how you are supposed to package the widget that you may be sending to Afghanistan to withstand Desert Storm conditions for maybe a period of 5 years. The packaging is going to be a 16-digit code. And when you look at that, you will probably say, what does this mean? Your PTAC counselor will help you decipher that 16-digit code, and then you can make a determination on whether you're going to do the packaging in-house or maybe subcontract it out of house so that you'll be in compliance with the federal government packaging requirements. PTAC will assist you in identifying target markets and helping you with your marketing strategies. In other words, which government agencies buy or need what it is that you provide. So we will help you in identifying your target markets, the government agencies and large prime contractors, and develop your marketing strategies. How do you really sell to the government? As a former contracting officer, I like to coach my clients on what government contracting officers are really looking for, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Procurement histories, that is providing you what government agencies bought it in the past, how many did they buy, or how many line items were involved, and what was the dollar value. So we can provide you with procurement histories. And then pre and post award administration. Sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes government agencies will want to come out to the facility, not during COVID, but come out to your facility and do what's called a pre-award survey to see if, and talk with your employees that maybe are on your shop floor, to make sure that if they award you this contract, you will absolutely deliver. And then post-award administration, PTAC will get involved in. That is the reports or paperwork or invoicing that you will have to do to follow up on a contract that you have received. So that would be post-award administration. You've already got the contract, but then there's all this paperwork or invoicing or reports that you have to do to be in compliance. PTAC can get involved with contract negotiations. Those are always a lot of fun. That is where the government agency selects through a source selection process 3 to 5 companies, and they may enter negotiations with all 5 companies. And so PTAC can get involved and actually attend negotiations with you. Recently, I would say probably in the last year, PTAC has taken a more active role in small business innovative research and small business technology transfer research. So if your company is in research industry, in other words, you're researching, you're building a prototype, PTAC can work with you specifically in making sure you've taken care of your mandatory registrations to get SBIR and STTR contracts or grants awarded. We'll help you with the proposal process. We work very closely with the Louisiana Technology Transfer Office, Roy Keller and Vic Johnson and their team in helping you identify which agencies may have an SBIR or an STTR opportunity for you to bid on. Then we have cybersecurity and cybersecurity maturity model certification. This is getting huge in the federal government arena. And the reason is we've had a lot of problems with cybersecurity breaches recently. And so what is coming about is there's a DFAR clause in contracts. If your contract has that specific DFAR clause, then you have to be cybersecurity compliant. In the past, that has been a self-certification assessment. In other words, you went through and you came up with your cybersecurity plan and you said, yes, I am cybersecurity compliant. That is now done away with. and we are entering into what is called Cybersecurity Maturity Model
Someone is at the front door.
Certification. Amazon is delivering me a package. Y'all do not tell my husband. I'm going to hide it. So, Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification is coming about. There's going to be different levels, level 1 all the way up to level 5. Level 1 is going to be where most of our Louisiana businesses or Louisiana clients will fall. We will help you receive your cybersecurity compliance no matter what level you are on. We have a subject matter expert. She has been taking a lot of classes and trainings, Jen Richard, who will be our subject matter expert in the CMMC area. She is actually serving on a board, if you will, or a group, if you will, for our National PTAC Association. Then PTAC does a lot of seminars and training throughout the year. Our contract with DLA says that we will do at least 52 a year, and we usually exceed that. And of course, those are all government contracting topics. Next slide, please. Okay, step-by-step guide to successful government contracting. When you sign up to become a PTAC client and receive our services, the bid matching and all of the other assistance services that we've talked about, I will reach out to you and provide you with what we call our step-by-step guide to successful government contracting. This came at the request of a congressman, and basically he called me in for a meeting, and when I sat across the congressman's desk, he said, you know, Cindy, when people come to see me, my constituents, they typically are frustrated with government contracting. They tell me things like, I just want a piece of the pie, just one small piece of the pie. I don't want the whole pie, but it's hard, it's complicated, it's time consuming. So he said, what I need you to do is to develop for me a document that I can give to my constituent that says, here is your guide. Step-by-step order what you need to do in order to make sure that you have done everything that you need to do and that you can feel comfortable that all your ducks are in a row, if you will, to actually secure or obtain a government contract. So it's a model, and it's been a good model for PTAC to use with our companies because we can clearly say, you've done step 1, 2, 3, you're actually on step 4. Now let's start working together to complete step 4. Next slide, please. Okay, so marketing to the government. I mentioned to you that we will assist you in developing your marketing strategy. This came from me having been a contracting officer for General Dynamics and Lockheed Martin in the past, okay? So what I was listening for as a contracting officer was who you are. Who you are, what is your name, what is your company name? What you do, what is your company all about? What is your core competency? What is your primary North American Industrial Classification Code? What is your primary industry? Even if you have several secondary industries or diversification, I was listening for your primary core competency or what you are expert in. Number 3 of what a contracting officer is going to be looking for or listening for is who you've done it for before. This is absolutely huge. You want to throw out 3 to 5 of your previous customers. Why that is so important is contracting officers, government buyers, tend to be risk adverse. They're signing on the dotted line, just like you are. So they want to feel comfortable that you will deliver and you will deliver on time and within budget. If you can give them 3 to 5 companies that you've done business with and provided your services or your products to in the past, that brings their risk adversity down several notches. Then you want to tell them about your business ownership or your small business, a veteran, a service disabled veteran, a woman owned, an economically disadvantaged woman owned, a disadvantaged, small disadvantaged business, a minority business, a hub zone, a DBE, an SBE. There's lots. So your PTAC can help you with determining what you really qualify for and then getting those certifications so that you can market your company under those. And then you want to ask a very important question. And this question is going to allow you to drill down into a large government agency to the right buyer for your commodity or your service. And the question that you want to ask is, who within your agency, government agency, or company, if it's a large prime contractor like Textron or Bow Brothers or Lockheed Martin, is responsible for buying what I provide? When you ask that question, they're going to give you a buyer's name. So then you know who to target market and you start this process over. Who you are, what you do, who you've done it for before, and your business ownership. Next slide, please. So building your marketing strategy, here is all of the things that your PTAC counselor will provide to you and help you with. They will help you identify state of Louisiana buyers. They will help you identify your marketing databases. Those are the LED databases, the LED Mentor Protege program, the LED Business Connection programs. They will help you identify your small business specialist in Louisiana. Those are the points of contact at the federal government arena that you will want to market to first. They're known as small business specialists. And what they do is keep up with how are they standing on their goals? Are they meeting their goals in the small business umbrella? And then under the small business umbrella, woman owned and veteran and hub zone and 8A. Then they can help you, your PTAC counselor can help you identify prime contractors in Louisiana. Those are the large prime contractors that are going to be looking for, because they have goals. They can't do everything in-house. They have goals in the subcontracting arena. We can provide you with marketing lists like what agencies are located at the Stennis Space Center and what large prime contractors are located at the Stennis Space Center. Who are the shipyards in Louisiana and Mississippi? The chemical plants, that's a huge industry here for us in Louisiana up and down the river. Then there's two primary databases that we will coach you on and teach you how to fish so that hopefully you can catch some government contracts. And that's something called the Federal Procurement Data System.gov and the USA Spending.gov. The Federal Procurement Data System is going to give you historical information. What government agencies have historically awarded contracts in the past in your field. And then the USA Spending is the one Congress likes to use. They like to see what federal money is pouring into Louisiana, what agency is receiving the most federal government funds, and then what businesses in Louisiana are getting the contracts. So those are helping you build your marketing strategy. Next slide, please. All right, so here is our contact information, the easiest way to get in touch with us. If you want to become a Louisiana PTAC client and have us assist you with all your government contracting needs, you can call us at our 800 number, which is 800-206-3545, 800-206-3545, or you can reach out to us via our website, which is ptac.louisiana.edu. So it's PTAC, Louisiana spelled completely out, .edu. It's real simple to get signed up with us. It's basically your company contact information and a little bit about your company, and then that gets the ball rolling with us. You're assigned a PTAC counselor, and then they reach out to you to set up your bid match, and then we start down the road of that step-by-step guide to success. So we look forward to helping you with your government contracting needs, so please connect with us. Thanks so much. Thanks, Kenyatta and team, for thinking about PTAC and including us in this event today.
You taking a few minutes once again to share with everyone that's attending who you are and the type of services you provide to the small businesses across the state, and obviously how you assist them with matchmaking opportunities within the state as well as across the country. And one of those individuals, one of those other resource agencies that Ms. Cindy spoke about was LED, Louisiana Economic Development. And which, segues into who our next speaker is going to be. That's Mr. Darrell Johnson. He's the program manager for Louisiana Economic Development, Small Business Services. And he'll just be speaking for a few minutes on small business resources available and also the bonding assistance program.
Thank you, Kenyatta. And first and foremost, I want to thank each one of our resource partners that have participated this morning in the program. Wanted to make sure that we highlighted that LED Small Business Team was honored as #1 in the nation for innovative programs driving small business growth and development in the state of Louisiana by International Economic Development Council in October 2019. And that could not have been possible without each one of our partners on the call today and on the webinar today. Today, I just wanted to take a few moments just to talk to you about small business services programs available to you within the state of Louisiana. I think we'll begin the presentation now. So LED resources to grow your small business. First, I like to segment this out in buckets. Our first bucket that we'll cover today is building capacity. I know we've heard that term all day today, but really wanted to dive into the various programs in which were discussed a little bit today. Next, we'll move into increasing opportunity, really focusing on our Hudson veteran initiatives that Cindy did a great job in talking about, in addition to our bonding assistance program. And then lastly, we'll follow that up with accelerating your growth through our strategic market research programs and our CEO roundtables. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the Small and Emerging Business Development Program, you may have heard the acronym SEBD. That program particularly supports our eligible small businesses. When we talk about the benefits of this program, it's providing you with entrepreneurial training, marketing, accounting, business planning. We can even get into legal, industry-specific assistance within the SEBD program. Particularly currently within this time, companies are looking to make sure that all of your things are in a row, as we heard this morning, when you're going after funding or new ventures, et cetera. You want to make sure that you have those books and your business plans and marketing strategies all laid out. So this program provides you with those things. And next, I'll talk about the eligibility next, please. Next slide. So when we talk about the eligibility to be considered for this program, you must be a U.S. citizen, of course, and must be a Louisiana resident for at least 1 year. Your net worth cannot exceed $400,000, and we exclude your personal residence. If you're married, we will cut that in half. It also excludes the business assets and any retirement accounts that you may have. And we say that we'd like our folks to be full-time within the business, and what we consider full-time at LED is managing owners working at least 20 hours a week within the business. If you are currently thinking of a strategic plan within the business, for a few hours a week, that those things can be considered. From the business standpoint, business eligibility must be at least 51% of the company is owned or controlled by one or more small and emerging business persons. Of course, the business must be located here in Louisiana. It must be a for-profit business within the state of Louisiana, and your business network cannot exceed 1.5 million. And of course, we're economic development. So the biggest thing for us is anticipating adding new jobs to the state of Louisiana. Next slide. So when we talk about the SEBD program, I really like to segue this in two parts. Well, actually 3 parts. The first part is training classes. So you've heard our colleague Ada Womack-Bell, as you'll see number 5 on the state list here of our intermediaries. She spoke about the various trainings that were upcoming for SEBD certified individuals. You get access to this particular program by way of training classes. So I believe this training class that is coming up is a marketing training class within Southern University Small Business Development Center. You get access to the training class component, and then thereafter, you have what we call a one-on-one project, which LED would pay 50% up to $2,500 of the cost for a one-on-one project. That one-on-one project is identified through what we call a business assessment. So let's back up. So we start with the application, which is ledsmallbiz.com. You would apply and create a profile. To apply to the program, we ask you 10 to 15 questions. The application should take you no more than 10 to 15 minutes to complete. After you complete that application and answer those basic questions and eligibility questions, then you would receive a notification from LED within 3 to 5 business days, letting you know what your status is within the program. Either you were accepted or you were not, and maybe there was an error that was made on the application. You may have to go in and change that. Typically, I see folks get hung up around the net worth and counting everything that we typically exclude, like your home and business assets, et cetera. But that's the process with getting certified with the SEBD program. Literally a 10 to 15 minute application. Thereafter, once you're accepted, you will be provided with a list of intermediaries, particularly within the capital region. You have access to Embecca Micro Business Enterprise Corporation of Ascension, access to our friends at Metromorphosis, heard Tower mentioned, and as well as the Small Business Development Center at Southern University, Ada Womack, who was on earlier, in addition to True Fund Financial Services. So you have all of these resource partners available to you to select from if you'd like to get started with any one of those organizations within the SEBD program. They would in turn do a business assessment on you. Basically, the business assessment is put in place to both understand where are the impediments within your business. I don't think I mentioned earlier, but this program is a 10-year certification. So if you are applying to the program as of today, I believe it's October 15th, 2020, then this particular certification will sunset October 15th, 2030. It's kind of hard to even think about 2030 right now. 2020 has been a doozy. But it is a 10-year certification, and the goal of this program is to help you grow, build your managerial and technical skills so that you can go after the things that were mentioned as far as the contracts and set-asides for DBE, et cetera. Next slide, please. And then I want to talk about the third bucket of the SEBD program. We talk about peer-to-peer learning. The SEBD roundtables was enacted in order to give our small businesses, our small and emerging businesses, the opportunity to speak with peers in a roundtable forum. So we get 15 to 18 SEBD certified businesses that meet together to talk about their challenges that they're facing within the business, growth challenges. And what we often find is that even though these folks are in various industries and from various walks of life, they have a certain commonality, and that commonality is people. In most cases, within small emerging business development, certified businesses, you're most likely just getting your business started. You've been going at it for about 1, 2 years, 3 years, et cetera. And you might have family working with you. And sometimes that can pose a problem, as we all know. If you have your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law who's sleeping on the job, and you can't go home and tell your spouse that because you may be sleeping on the couch. So this is an opportunity for you to talk about those experiences that you have or that you're going through within your business. And what you find is that, Bob across the aisle has went through the same thing just last year. He got off of the couch and was able to go back with his spouse, but he was able to get through that particular situation, and he had the help of his peers who can, now shed some light on, hey, how did you maneuver through the situation so that you didn't have any personal issues, but you were able to better run your business and run your business more effectively. So this is led by an experienced facilitator. We follow the, of course, no advice giving within this forum, but making sure that everyone is sharing their experiences. We bring in expert speakers. And I like to say the table is ran by the participants. If your particular topic of the month is marketing or resiliency, as Lakeisha just spoke about, then we would get, the facilitator would get an expert speaker to come in and dive into marketing and help you understand that. And then also the beauty of the program is, as a cohort, there may be a collective issue within accounting that you all may be having. Then you can utilize the training aspect, and the intermediary can set up a training class for the cohort to go through. So that is the SCBD roundtables in a nutshell. We've already seeded the companies in this fiscal year's SCBD roundtable program. They will begin to recruit starting now. So I would implore you, if you are interested in the SCBD roundtables program, feel free to reach out to True Fund Financial Services, in addition to Southern University Baton Rouge Small Business Development Center, to learn more about that program and to get on their list to be considered for next year's table. Next slide, please. So this is a good one, a good segue. I know my colleague Cindy did a great job talking about the Hudson and Veteran Initiative, but these programs were put in place to give our Louisiana small businesses more access to contracting and procurement of goods and services with our state agencies. This, of course, is a race and gender neutral program, and basically the governor has put together a set of goals for each agency to utilize our Hudson and Veteran Initiative companies. There is a directory of Hudson and Veteran Initiative coordinators who are, of course, a coordinator within each state agency that you can reach out to. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the benefits of this program, both Hudson and Veteran, so benefits of the Hudson Initiative of 10 percentage points are added to our small businesses when they are bidding for an RFP, request for proposal. And just in recent legislation about 2 years ago for our Veteran Initiative program, that has increased to 12 additional points that can be added to your bid on an RFP. I don't know about y'all, but when I was in school, I was always raising my hands for bonus points in any way I can get them, just to make sure that I was getting a piece of the pie that the teacher had for our class. Particularly, this is most important, I think, that most folks typically overlook. So for our small purchases of less than 15,000, state agencies can waive the requirement of getting additional quotes if a certified company submits a quote that is reasonable. So that means exactly what it says. If that particular purchase is less than 15,000, you can bypass that entire system that we just mentioned before. So I believe with this program, it's imperative that you, in turn, look at the state agencies that you're looking to do business with. You can also look with Cindy Carrier at PTAC to help you understand what particular agencies are looking to procure the services that you provide. And then you first reach out to those folks and let them know, hey, my name is such and such, my company is XYZ, and this is what we do, so that they are now aware of your company and what you provide, and you can start to foster that relationship with our state agencies. Prime contractors also who use certified small businesses as a subcontractor on a bid for an RFP are also eligible to receive those additional points in their bid. And that's dependent upon the amount of work that the Hudson and Veteran Company has out of the contract. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the eligibility for this program, the eligibility, of course, is you must be a Louisiana company. You must have fewer than 50 full-time employees, and your annual average gross receipts do not exceed 5 million for non-construction and 10 million for construction companies. So for non-construction businesses, the Veteran Initiative requires an average annual gross receipts must not exceed 6 million. So the business must be independently owned and must not be a dominant business within their professional field. And of course, this is for our Louisiana-based small businesses. Additionally, for our veteran ownership, at least 51% of the business must be owned by a veteran and or service-connected disabled veteran. So we asked for your DD 214, I believe, on the application. Next slide, please. So next, Mentor Protege Recognition Program. This program is geared towards building your managerial and technical skills. But LED's Mentor Protege Recognition Program connects our Louisiana-based small and emerging businesses to technical and developmental assistance provided by our large mentor companies. These are our large drivers across the state of Louisiana. LED does not get into the vetting or selecting a protege to be placed with a mentor. However, there is a year-round protege pool in which you can apply to. Of course, the eligibility of this program is that you are, in fact, certified as a SCBD company, and you must be in good standing with the Secretary of State. And of course, you must be a Louisiana-based company and not, an affiliate or related party of the mentor. So basically, you remain within this program for 6 months to a year and getting those desired skills and helping you increase your capacity within this program with public and private sector opportunities. Next slide. So now I want to move into our construction space. The Louisiana Contractors Accreditation Institute primarily offers a series of seminars and courses which assist in building a solid foundation within the construction industry. So we have our general contractor seminar, and we've built this out over the years. It started with our business and law seminar. That was preparing you and making sure that you understand, management aspect and operating construction related business. And then we've built it out to the general contractor seminar, which also provides you with some fundamental technical knowledge surrounded around GC work and how to make sure that you sustain your business within the construction industry. And lastly, a newer one that was put together is the recent, the residential contractor seminar, focusing on the residential side of the construction business. I believe we've just started the cohort for the LCAI program. However, if you're interested in that program, I will provide contact information at the end of this presentation to you. That's a good segue to our bonding assistance program, which I think is pivotal and very important that each one of you who are looking to do business with state governments and municipalities, et cetera, really utilize this program. This program provides you with access to quality bid, payment, and performance bonds at reasonable rates from surety companies when bonding capacity is needed for those public and private jobs. Basically, this offers 25% of the contract price or $100,000, whichever is less, in bond guarantee to the surety. Bond guarantees are intended to mitigate the risk to the surety company, which in case would lead to a positive underwriting decision. LED does not get into the underwriting portion of this program. However, this program is geared towards helping you establish a relationship with the surety companies that you can ultimately graduate out of this program and then have that relationship with the sureties to be able to get larger bonds as you grow within the program and grow out of the program. The eligibility for this program, of course, is you must be certified as a small and emerging business development company. And that's the program that we talked about earlier. Clients that require the bid and payment performance and surety bonds must go through this program. And for many reasons, there may be some things outlined as you're going through the underwriting process that you may need your books to be finished in such a way. You may have to take another look at those things. So you utilize the SCBD program. Remember those three parts that I talked about to really identify, which will be identified through the assessment per se for the SCBD program, to utilize that portion of it to go through. Maybe you need some more help in accounting to help you get those things that you need to be done in order for you to move into the bonding, et cetera. So these sureties provide all the underwriting, and we have a list of our surety agents on the website and their contact information and who we utilize from our sureties. Next slide, please. So this is also a sweet spot for me. More so my heavy focus here at LED is second stage growth companies. Actually, you've heard from 2 second stage companies just this morning in Savitri, as well as Lakeisha Robichaux. So this is our second stage growth programming. And of course, what we consider second stage at LED, your annual gross receipts must, and your annual gross revenues must be between at least 600,000 in revenue and 50 million in revenue. And you must have at least 5 full-time equivalent employees. And of course, we are looking for companies who are going outside of Louisiana borders and importing new wealth into the state. Particularly, we exclude retail stores and restaurants from the second stage programming. And you must be organized for profit to perform legally and commercial in the state of Louisiana. Next slide, please. So first, I want to talk about our strategic market research programs. We have what we have here is the economic gardening program. These programs provide you with basically a review of your core strategies, understanding what I would say a SWOT analysis, if you will, strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. You're looking to enter new markets and go after new customers, but you also need a landscape of that market to really understand what's happening within the market space. What customers are you looking to go after? And most importantly, getting past the gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper in most cases is your secretaries that are at some of these companies and organizations that you're looking to do business with. This is more so setting you up to make sure that we go after those qualified sales leads and qualifying new markets. This program is available to our second stage companies who meet the profile that I just mentioned. However, you get access to a 4-person team. The first person is the team leader. That's more so like the strategy specialist. I look at that person as the quarterback. In this case, Drew Brees. Go Saints, who dat? I'm from New Orleans, so I will rep the Saints anytime that I get. And then also market research specialist. That person is looking at trends, facts, statistics, really understanding what's going on within the market. We can really do some tapestry segmentation to really understand who your consumers are and your customers are within those markets. And we also have the third specialist, which is the geographic information system specialist. That person is focused on list maps. We can even go into different counties and precincts and find those areas that you may be looking to move into and see what the growth trajectory is for certain areas, et cetera. And lastly, this person used to be called the SEO specialist, search engine optimization. However, digital marketing suits the title more efficiently, as we all know, the digital age now is more than just SEO. It's now Google, AdWords, pay-per-click, et cetera. So this person is really, can do a fine-tuned look at your website presence or your digital marketing presence to see how you stack up against competition in these different markets. So this program is available to you. If you fit the criteria, feel free to reach out to me. We can discuss this program in depth. I know a few of the folks that are on this call have utilized this program and they can attest to things that they've gotten out of the program. But this is another resource that is available to you within our second stage program. And lastly, if we move to the next slide, I'd like to talk about the CEO Roundtables program. This program is for our second stage companies with meet the eligibility of 600,000 to 50 million with 5 full-time equivalent employees at least. So if you meet that criteria, this is a very competitive program in which we get at least 30 to 50 applicants within a given region of the state, and we only seat 15 to 18 qualified entrepreneurs to sit together for a total of 4 hours once per month. We're talking about their business challenges, strategic planning, operational efficiency. When we talk about pivoting, if I had $1 for every time I've heard pivot, I think I'll be a multimillionaire by now. But these programs in our second stage programming are geared towards helping you understand those strategic plans and helping you fine tune the sales and marketing and value proposition and mission and vision statement, et cetera, just to make sure that you are on the track to grow. We know that you're growing, but we want to utilize these programs to help you grow or accelerate your growth rather. So again, different from the SEBD Roundtables program, this program is, of course, for our second stage companies. So if you meet those eligibility requirements, the application period will open on February 1, 2021. So look for that press release to come out and the open application period to open. And I would encourage each one of you to apply to the program if you meet the eligibility. Last slide is our contact information. You'll see my name, Darrell L. Johnson Jr. at the bottom left hand of this slide here. Feel free to give me a call directly if you have any questions, or shoot me an email. Always here to help you in any way that I can. Thank you, Kenyatta and SJB Group and Baton Rouge Airport. I really appreciate you all having us on to talk about the various programs that are available to our small businesses in the state of Louisiana.
And thank you as well, Darrell. We appreciate you once, as I've mentioned to everyone else, for taking the time out of your schedule, man, to really share with us some valuable information. Well, share with the attendees. So, you know, as you all can tell, man, the theme is pretty much flowing together, man. It's, you can see the resources that's available, the different certifications that can be, you know, used as attractive tools when you're chasing certain projects. Just the plethora of opportunity that you have out there to continue to grow a successful and sustainable business is available, which is going to lead into our next speaker. But prior to me saying that, I believe that all of our breakout sessions and exhibitors sessions have ended. So everyone should be back on the main stage. So please feel free to put any of your questions in the chat area. Obviously, we do respect your time and we appreciate you all being patient with us, but we know there's some valuable information that you can definitely benefit from. So once again, put all of your questions in the chat area, and that will be the questions that we will attempt in our, within the time that matter to address. But remember, we are also going to make the unanswered questions available via email following over the next few days of the event. So to lead into our next and our last speaker for the day before we go into our question and answer session will be Ms. Joanne Lawrence, the Deputy District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration Office here at the Louisiana District. And she'll just be sharing a few minutes with you on the products and services that are offered for the small businesses.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Kenyatta, for inviting the Small Business Administration and in affording me an opportunity to speak on the programs and services that SBA offers. At the Small Business Administration, we aid, counsel, assist, support, and protect the interests of small businesses. Simply put, we help businesses start, grow, expand, and stay in business through our non-financial and financial assistance programs. Next slide, please. SBA is your small business advocate. Next slide, please. Our non-financial assistance includes government contracting, certifications, business development, counseling, training, and management and technical assistance. We estimate that the federal government spends in excess of $500 billion annually. And SBA works with those federal agencies to ensure that small businesses share in this spend. For example, in fiscal year 2019, approximately $133 billion or 26.5% was awarded to small businesses. I always like to ask, were you included in that spend? The certifications that SBA offers include the 8A, which automatically certifies you as a small disadvantaged business, the historically underutilized business zone or hub zone, and the woman-owned small business and economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business certification. And through these certifications, SBA facilitates these socioeconomic groups' participation in the federal government's marketplace. Management and technical assistance, counseling, and training is available through our resource partners, namely our small business development centers, our women's business resource centers, our SCORE mentors, our veterans business opportunity centers, and our 7J contractors. Also under government contracting, we work with those federal agencies to issue certificates of competency on behalf of small businesses where the contracting officer has determined that the small business is non-responsible. Non-responsibility deals with whether or not you have the capacity and capability to perform that contract. So as a small business, federal contracting officer, if you are responsive, cannot just throw out your bid without coming to SBA and asking us if we will issue a certificate of competency on your behalf. That's your protection as a small business. The Section 8A Business Development Program aids certified small businesses that are at least 51% owned and controlled and daily managed by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals who devote full time to the day-to-day operations of the business. The 8A firms are eligible for sole source and 8A competitive contracts. As a certified 8A participant, you're automatically certified as a small disadvantaged business. And that means that any contracts that the federal government awards to an 8A firm are counted toward the government's 5% small disadvantaged business goal. Under our Hub Zone program, this program was put in place to stimulate the economy in areas where there is high unemployment and low income individuals. This program is race and gender neutral, and the small business's principal office must be located in a designated Hub Zone area. At least 35% of that business's employees must reside in a Hub Zone area, and US citizens must own at least 51% of the company. The federal government's Hub Zone contracting goal is 3%. And unfortunately, since this program has been in place, we have yet to meet that Hub Zone goal. So we're working to get more small businesses certified as Hub Zone. The goals of the Women-Owned Small Business program are to provide a mechanism for the contracting officers to meet their 5% goal, and also to level the playing field for women-owned small businesses. There are two components: women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. You hear us refer to it as WOSB and Ed WOSB. And to be eligible for this program, the small business must be at least 51% owned, controlled, and daily managed by a woman or women, and at least one of those women must devote full time to the day-to-day operation of the business. Effective today, October 15, 2020, in order to participate in the Women-Owned Small Business program, you must have a formal certification from SBA through beta.certify.sba.gov. We've conducted a series of workshops on this new platform and this new certification requirement because we want to make sure that the women-owned small businesses are in a position to participate in the federal government's marketplace. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. And with the Women-Owned Small Business program, I'd like to just add that fiscal year 2019 was only the second year since this program has been in place where we achieved the 5% woman-owned small business goal. Now, even though we started accepting applications on July 15th of this year, only approximately 1,200 women-owned small businesses had submitted their application as of a couple of weeks ago. Under the former self-certification piece, there were over 12,000 self-certified WOSBs in that database. And with only 10% of those businesses having submitted their application, that means that there are going to be a number of WOSBs and Ed WOSBs that will not be eligible to bid on those federal government contracts that are set aside for the WOSB program. Next slide, please. Next slide. Under our capital access programs, generally SBA can guarantee up to 85% on loans up to $150,000 and 75% on loans above that amount. We can guarantee loans up to $5 million as long as SBA's exposure to any one borrower does not exceed $3.75 million. We also have our microloan programs, and that's in place for those individuals who do not need the $100,000 or $1 million. This program is in place to assist those borrowers who need up to $50,000. SBA works with micro lenders and we provide funding to them so that they can in turn loan the money on SBA behalf and service the loan. We also provide long-term, low-interest disaster loans to assist individuals and businesses and some nonprofits in recovering from a disaster. For instance, with the economic injury disaster loans that were offered for COVID-19, and now with the disaster loans that are being offered for Hurricane Laura. And these are 30-year low interest loans for which you can apply, and there is no prepayment penalty, and you do not have to pay anyone to apply for any of these loans. Today at 2 o'clock, we are conducting a disaster loan workshop with the SBDC at Southern University. So if you're interested in the disaster loan programs, we encourage you to take advantage of that workshop. Next slide, please. We also provide bid, payment, and performance bonds through our surety bond guarantee program. Next slide, please. We can guarantee bonds on contracts up to $6.5 million, and these are federal contracts and non-federal contracts. And on federal contracts, up to $10 million, with a contracting officer's justification, we can guarantee a bond on a $10 million contract. Next slide, please. Now, I'd like for us to just take a few minutes and look at how you, as a small business, can participate in the federal government's marketplace and some of the things that you can do and just make you aware of how the federal government buys. So, some best practices in obtaining contracts. We want you to remember that we have micro purchases, total small business set aside, simplified acquisition purchases, and certifications. These are effective ways for you to participate in the federal government's marketplace. So except for contracts subject to the Service Contract Act or the Davis-Bacon Act, individual purchases under $10,000 are considered micro purchases and do not require competition. Micro purchases, although they are not reserved for small businesses, that does not preclude a small business from participating in this billion-dollar marketplace. The government official can simply identify a source, either a small business or a business that's other than small, and use that source to make the purchase. To participate in the micro purchase market, you must accept a government credit card. And just keep in mind that each year, billions of dollars are spent on micro purchases. So we don't want you to miss the opportunity to take advantage of that low-hanging fruit. Next slide, please. For a contract to be set aside for any of the small business programs, the rule of two must be met. And what that means is that the contracting officer must have a reasonable likelihood that there are at least two responsible and responsive small businesses who could be expected to submit a bid or an offer on that contract. And this can apply to any of the various socioeconomic groups, be it 8A, HubZone, WOSB, or service disabled. Next slide, please. Generally, contracts over $250,000 will be set aside for small businesses when there is a reasonable expectation that offers will be received from at least 2 responsible small businesses. Next slide, please. Now, what we've put in place to help small businesses is what we call our simplified acquisition procedures. So what does that mean? That means that contracts between $10,000 and under $250,000 will be reserved for small businesses. So that means that as a small business, you will only be competing against other small businesses. The only exception would be those contracts that are subject to the Service Contract Act or the Davis-Bacon Act. And then you'll be looking at contracts between $2,000 and $250,000 or $2,500 and $250,000 that would be reserved for small businesses. So that would cover the service businesses as well as the construction businesses. Next slide, please. So let's look at some of the ranges. So if the contract is between $10,000 and under $15,000, no public announcement is required. All the contracting officer has to do is to obtain 3 quotes from 3 small businesses, and from those quotes, they can go on and make an award to one of those small businesses. Now, when the contract is between $15,000 and $25,000, a public announcement must be made for at least 10 days. And that announcement can be made either on the agency's website or in the Federal Business Opportunities website, or they may post it in the newspaper as long as it's out there for 10 days. Next slide, please. Contracts between $25,000 and $250,000 will be restricted to small businesses. That means that only small businesses can bid on those contracts. And these contracts have to be posted in the Federal Business Opportunities website, which is available on the SAM, Beta SAM website. So you're able to go in and conduct a search either by keywords or NAICS codes to identify those contracts that may be posted or may have been posted in the area of performance where you want to perform that contract. Now, when the contract is over $250,000, a synopsis, an overall overview of that contract must be posted in the Federal Business Opportunities website. And that synopsis has to be out there for at least 15 days before the solicitation is issued. So additional information I want to share is that when that contract is above $25,000 or above, the time period to respond is generally 30 days. That means that you must submit your bid or your proposal within that 30-day time frame by the established due date and time. Now, notice that I said generally, because sometimes there is an extension of the proposal or bid due date. So consequently, it's important that when you're going to pursue a federal government contract, when you identify that bid or that proposal or request for proposal on the FedBizOp website, that you register to receive the updates, any amendments, because you will need to acknowledge the receipt of those amendments when you submit your offer. We also want you to take note of sources sought notices. An agency will issue sources sought notices when they're not sure how they're going to procure that particular contract. Or they may be attempting to see how many small businesses are available in the various groups, be it 8A or small business, woman-owned, veteran-owned, or hub zone. And they will use that information to make a determination as to how they will procure that particular contract. So if you see sources sought notices, please respond to that. That's a way of getting more contracts set aside for the small business programs. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the formal certifications that SBA offers, back up a slide, please, are the Section 8A program. And within the Section 8A program, we offer the sole source and 8A competitive contracts. Now, please note that if it is a sole source contract, it will not be posted in the Federal Business Opportunities website, because that means the agency has offered it to us for sole source contracting, and we're going to accept that contract on behalf of one person or one company who will submit a proposal to the government and negotiate a fair and reasonable price. The Hub Zone program, primarily the rest of these programs, Hub Zone, WOSB, and Service Disabled Vet, are all competitive programs, meaning that you will see solicitations in Fed Biz Ops where the competition is restricted to those particular groups. So you want to make sure that you can play in this market. Now, whereas SBA handles 8A, Hub Zone, and WOSB, the veteran-owned small business verification is handled by the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization of the Veterans Administration. And the VA has what it calls Vets First, which means that the Veterans Administration looks to set contracts aside for veterans first before looking at the remaining small business groups. But all of these goals, 5% for small disadvantaged business, 5% for women, 3% for Hub Zone, and 3% for service disabled vets, apply to all of the federal agencies. An important note about the service disabled veteran-owned small business verification is that the National Defense Authorization Act of 2021 is proposing a formal certification by SBA for service disabled vets and veteran-owned small businesses. Once the proposed regs are published, they will be published in the Federal Register. So veterans, please let your voice be heard regarding that formal certification. Next slide, please. I want to just take a moment in these final seconds to just point out how well we did regarding the socioeconomic groups. The overall goal for doing business with the federal government for small businesses is 23%. In fiscal year 2019, we exceeded that. We did 26.50%. For small disadvantaged businesses, which includes 8A, we did over $51 billion. And I might add that for this, a lot of those contracts for 8A were awarded sole source. For WOSB, we exceeded the goal. We had 5% for $26 billion. For Hub Zone, we fell short again. We only did about 2.3% for $11 billion. And then for service disabled vets, we exceeded that goal. We did 4% for $22 billion. Those are the national statistics. Next slide, please. This is what we did in Louisiana for fiscal year 2019. Almost $2.6 billion was awarded to businesses in Louisiana. 52% of that went to small businesses for over $1.3 billion. Small disadvantaged businesses, we did approximately $360 million. WOSB's, $182 million. Hub Zone, approximately $287 million. For our veterans, $180 million. And for our service disabled vets, we did approximately $153 million. Now for the 8A program in Louisiana, 8% of that total spend went to 8A certified firms for over $202 million. And I might add for Louisiana as well, the majority of those contracts were awarded on a sole source basis. Next slide, please. We want you to know that we're here at the Small Business Administration to help you. So putting all these pieces together, how can we help you take advantage of the federal government's marketplace? Next slide, please. We encourage you to call our office at 504-589-6685 because we are here supporting the formation, growth, prosperity, and viability of small businesses. Don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Joanne. We appreciate you taking the time out to share with us with the great resources that's available through SBA. We appreciate you definitely going into those numbers, those statistics, because I think that's what, tells the story. When you see those kind of numbers that's being achieved, that just lets you know that there are opportunities out there, which once again falls in line with the theme of what we hope that everybody was able to gather today. And just knowing who you have out there as a resource. I know one of the questions that we did have was there any cost occurred with any of these resources? And the answer to that would be no. When it comes to PTAC, I know that was specifically what they was asking for. As far as us with SJB Group being a consultant for the Baton Rouge Airport, but we also are DB supportive services for the state. Obviously, we cover a certain region. Urban League of Louisiana covers the New Orleans and Hammond region. SJB Group, we cover Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, Lafayette, Alexandria, Shreveport, and Monroe. And all of our services are free as well. I'd be more than happy at a later time to go into those details of the type of services. But for today, we want to continue to just respect your time. Obviously, we went over a little bit, but it was worth it. We had an opportunity to allow some great speakers to be on and provide great information to you all. And also just hopefully it's something that can continue to move forward. Any of these individuals that spoke today, if you would like to continue some dialogue with them, feel free to reach out to myself, and I'll be more than happy to assist you in those efforts. If you are still listening in, you can contact me at my direct line, 225-706-5756. Or my email address is my name, Kenyatta Sparks, so that's Kenyatta, KENYATTA.Sparks, SPARKS, at sjbgroup.com. And it's also on the contact form that I actually emailed to all of our attendees also in the earlier days prior to our event. So the other thing we had as far as the question was, as far as is the slides going to be available. And as I mentioned earlier, the slides will be available via the Baton Rouge Airport's website, which is www.flybtr.com. And also on our website that we have for DB supportive services, which is www.louisianadbe.com. And that's Louisiana spelled out. Please feel free to go and visit the site and subscribe. That way you'll be notified every time we populate it with new information. So right now, we were going to go to the question and answer session, but I believe we did such a great job of, throughout the conference today that we do not currently have any questions. So what we're going to do is move forward with the conclusion of our event today. But before I go any further, I do want to make sure I take this time to thank Mayor Broome for giving us our welcoming address. Also want to thank, the newly elected chairman, Matt Butler, also Councilwoman Shauna Banks. And I definitely want to also thank the representatives from the airport, Mr. Mike Edwards, for doing the opening address, who's the director of aviation, and also Mr. Greg Pearson, who's worked hand in hand with us, who's the assistant director of aviation, to make sure that this event flows smoothly, as well as his team that he has here as well, Mr. Vincent Carey and Ms. Kim Nolan was very effective also in making sure that we were able to move forward with these things as well. And obviously, please forgive me if I'm remiss to mention any other names that was an assistant with that. But also just Ms. Paula Roddy with DOTD, Ms. Bonnie Kerrigan with who's on our team, SGB Group, and also Equity Economics, Ms. Ada Womack, who is with the director of the Small Business Development Center at Southern University, Ms. Lakeisha Roberso, who's the CEO for Chief of Mines, Ms. Carrier, Cindy Carrier, who is the program manager for PTAC. We also have Mr. Daryl Johnson, the program manager with LED. And our last speaker that we had today was Ms. Joanne Lawrence, the deputy director for Small Business Administration. Also want to make sure we give recognition to our exhibitors who, I apologize, to our breakout session, who I believe provided some very great information that fell in line with our theme once again. You have Mr. Trey Russell, who is with Covalent Logic, who did marketing your business during and after the pandemic. You have Ms. Bonnie Kerrigan with Equity Economics, who did post-bid documents for City Parish of Baton Rouge, and also the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport projects. And you also have Ms. Keisha Green Alexandra, who is the DOTD with DOTD compliance programs. She's the DBE SBE Contract Administration Program Manager, and she presented post-bid documents for DOTD construction projects. And also Ms. Lakeisha Robershow, once again, who did business resiliency. And also with our exhibitors, we have Mr. Larry Dent, who is the commercial loan officer with Hope Credit Union, Mr. Chris Garrison, who's the purchasing director for East Baton Rouge Parish Purchasing Division. You have Mr. John Smith with the Fair Share Coordinator with the East Baton Rouge Public School System Fair Share Program, Ms. Tyra Banks, the Innovative and Partnership Catalyst with Metromorphosis and Launch BR, Ms. Marina Baragova, she's the Executive Director with the Southern University Law Center, and also Mr. Derek Lewis, who's the Director of Employ BR. So once again, we want to thank you all for attending, taking time out of your schedule to take advantage of this great opportunity. And we believe it was a great success, and without you, it wouldn't have been. So once again, we thank you.